The road to banner 18. This is the flagship station of the Boston Celtics.
The Boston Celtics swarm the floor.
WBCFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. The media group station. Sports Hub headlines.
Game 5 of the NBA Finals will be tonight at TD Garden, and the Celtics once again have a chance to put Dallas away. They lead this best-of-7 series 3-1. We'll have the pregame at 7:30, and then the tip-off with Grandy and Max at 8:30 on the BetMGM 98.5, the Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Jason Tatum said yesterday the team put too much pressure on themselves to win during an ugly loss on Friday. That will not be a problem this evening.
We would love to win tomorrow more than anything, but if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. We have more opportunities.
Kristaps Porzingis was once again present at practice yesterday. He's listed as questionable. According to the LA Times, J.J. Redick formally interviewed for the Lakers head coaching job on Saturday. If the team does hire him, it won't be announced until after the finals are over. Bryson DeChambeau is your winner of the U.S. Open Golf Championship for the second time in his career. He made a great bunker shot on 18 and parred the hole to beat Rory McIlroy by one shot. And for McIlroy, this represented a historic fade down the stretch. He missed two par putts in the final 3 holes of under 4 feet and turned a one-shot lead into second place. The Red Sox stole a franchise record 9 bases last night. They beat the Yankees for the second time in 3 days, 9-3 at Fenway Park. David Hamilton had 2 hits, drove in a run, and stole 4 of those bases for the Sox in the win. They go 4-2 against the 2 best teams in baseball over the last week. They're in Toronto tonight. And in other baseball news, Mookie Betts was hit on his left hand with a pitch yesterday. The hand is broken. He is out indefinitely for the Dodgers. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180. Don't put off losing weight this summer. Reach your goal during the easiest season for weight loss. Awaken 180, the official weight loss program of summer. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
This is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown turns the corner. A finger roll is up and good. Scoring the foul.
Listen to home of the Boston Celtics, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Wait, hello. 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 Mm-hmm. Hello. 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 Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Let's talk about cheese.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
What the
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Welcome to the show, you sweet.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy. It's very exciting. We are in the Town Fair Tire Studios. Our show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Hardy's on there sometimes to say hello.
Yeah, I'll log on. I'll say give you a little good morning. Huh?
We're on YouTube. You can subscribe to keep up with all we're doing on YouTube. We get up to a dozen viewers every day. It's very exciting for everyone. You'll have to excuse Hardy. He's got East Lansing fever.
Hell yeah, I do.
He was back at his alma mater, even though school's out right now, I would imagine, for Michigan State, correct?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was there for the last 2 summers I was in school. I took summer classes so I could finish on time. And I don't ever remember it being that dead. There was nobody there. Nobody there.
I spent a summer there, and my roommate, the kid I was going to room, was when I was in college. I got an internship at a WFMK in Lansing, Michigan. It was beautiful. I worked in the traffic department. The people who I interned in the traffic department. The people that put the ads together. It was really a waste of time. Not that it's a bad job, but just it wasn't what I wanted to do for a living. Big waste of time. I should have known. But the kid that I was living up there with, we moved into the apartment, and about 2 days later, he said, "Oh, I got an internship at a hospital in Royal Oak, Michigan, which is back by Detroit." He's like, "I'm leaving." So it was just me. I was alone.
Yeah.
And there was no one around. I would go to Lansing Lugnut games. It was $1. It's like a single A maybe rookie ball or something.
Yeah.
Or independent league. Lansing Lugnuts. It was $1 to sit on the hill and $1 beers, and I would go there by myself. I mean, that's how. And going places by yourself when you're like 21 is not the greatest. It's not what you're going out for. I would like talk to people in AOL chat. It was a very sad existence. So you were out there. If you don't know, Hardy was not here Friday. That's why the show was so good. And he'd taken his daughter out to his alma mater, Michigan State, to see if she would want to go there. And there was also a friend of his kid was in the state championship, the Michigan baseball state championship, high school baseball state championship.
Yes.
And which is very confusing when I tell that to people. A couple of people ask me where you were. I'm like, he's in East Lansing. His friend's kid is in the state championship, and they would go, oh, does he go to East Lansing High? And I said, no, he's in the state championship. It's at Michigan State. Oh, are they playing it at the Lansing Lugnuts place? No. It's at Michigan. What's so hard? They're playing the championships at the Michigan State field,
right at McLean Stadium.
Yeah, that's not very good. When was the last time you were there? 20 years ago. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I don't know. That's where it is. I'm not there. Okay, no one I know is playing in it. This is two people I'm having this argument with, and I don't know why you're arguing with me. I don't. Yes, he's going. No, he doesn't go to East Lansing High. He goes somewhere else. They're all there. I don't know.
All the schools, they all travel. Believe it or not, they all traveled to this city in the middle of the state to contest the state championships for multiple divisions for high school baseball. I don't think it's that novel of a concept.
Oh, that place is a dump. Okay, I don't built it, and I didn't decide to play the games there. I'm sure it's better. That's a pretty good program, so I can't imagine it's that bad. All right, so how was East Lansing? Is your daughter now going alumni fever? Is she going to go to East Lansing? Is she going to go to Michigan State?
Well, I mean, we've been to several campuses, like schools around here, schools in the South, and, different options. I think she'd only seen one campus that I would say is like Michigan State, and that is UNC in Chapel Hill, which to me, that to me is what I think of when I think of college. You've got a defined campus. You've got one big strip, alongside that kind of borders one side of campus, and that's where all the restaurants and shops and bars are, and that's what Chapel Hill was like. So when we saw that, she really liked him, like, oh, you should see Michigan State because it's a very similar setup. So we flew out Friday morning. We got there. We went straight to the first game, the semifinal game. But walking onto campus, I'm sure this holds true for like everybody who went to a school where, colleges, they've got a lot of money to have nice buildings and they're old buildings and all this stuff. But walking onto campus for the first time in 25 years, I haven't been back for anything in a long, long time. Like, this place is freaking beautiful. Like, everything about it. Oh, because they've got all this money from the outrageous tuitions like most colleges do. So, yeah, it should be beautiful. But I'm just blown away. Like, I can't believe I was here for 4 years and never appreciated like this. Oh, my God, this is awesome. Look at this. And then like a typical, high schooler, she's like, Like, it doesn't – I don't know that she was blown away by it. I don't think she necessarily has Spartan fever. She liked it, and the downtown was really cool. Like, we had a really good time. But I wanted to go back there again. Like, oh my God, no wonder I enjoyed college so much. This is a great place.
They must have really. In the last 30 years, they must have really made a lot of changes. They must have spruced everything up because it used to. I would not have described, and I'm not crapping on it, but I would not have described Michigan State as being beautiful.
Well, I think part of it has to do with the time of year. Everything, it's like everything is green.
Well, I was there in the
and
summer.
Lush.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And downtown East Lansing, like there's. Where parking lots used to be in crappy buildings that no one ever went into. Now it's like, you know what it reminds me of? Fenway. It reminds me of Fenway. That's what the downtown is like now. But The bar I used to go into, that's still there. The radio station I worked at, that's now a CVS. That kind of sucks. But it was fun staying at the hotel right there in, a block off of campus, the beautiful Marriott. The only time I'd ever gone in there was to use the bathroom because they had a great bathroom in there. And if you're ever downtown, you could sneak in like the back door of the hotel and go in there and use the bathroom in the lobby. Like many hotels have nice lobby bathrooms, and I'd never been in a room there. So, all right, that was all great. But I don't want to bury the lead. So my friend's son, his oldest son, it was a senior at Powers Catholic. So they live near Flint. They live in Flushing, Michigan, and they go to
By Dad Boner.
That's right. Grand Blanc. That's where Steve's wife is from. That's where Angie is from. So they're in the tournament. So we get there just in time for the semifinal game on Friday. It goes into extras. They end up winning. Big sigh of relief. All right. So now you've got the championship game on Saturday at 5:00. And my son's friend Fisher, and I mean, we're all very close. This is my best friend. He was best man at my wedding. I mean, and I know his kids, they call me Uncle Hardy, blah, blah, blah. Fisher is the starting pitcher on Saturday for the championship game. And my friend Steve is a mess. He's a wreck. His other son at a tournament like at 8:00 Saturday morning, also in Lansing, separate tournament. So he's like back and forth from Flushing back to Lansing, no sleep. He's a mess. He can't even can barely hold a conversation because he's so nervous for his son getting the ball for the championship game on Saturday at 5. So Fisher goes out, 5 scoreless, allows 2 hits, gets 2 hits at the plate. They mercy the other team 11-0.
There you go. There you go.
It's like we're watching the runs pile up, like 3 in the first, 2 more in the second, 3 more in the third. And at that point, you're like, oh, they're going to win the state championship.
Yeah.
It's kind of a foregone conclusion. The other pitcher got knocked out after 2. I felt bad for the kid they sent in there because he was probably 10 miles an hour slower on his fastball, and they just started eating him up, and he just couldn't hang. And I don't know what the protocol is. I didn't want to talk too much about it while the game was going on, but I think a lot of teams will send their quote unquote ace on Friday for the semis because you got to get there. But a lot of these kids can go and maybe pitch a few more, the next day if need to, if they get called into relief. But I think they're a 1 and 1A on that team. I mean, Fisher's nasty. He's got this ankle breaking slider, and just he's big. And they're a lot of these kids are going on to college programs. He's going to go play at Eastern next year, and the other kid who started the day before is playing for Michigan State. So it was awesome. And it was I don't know why I don't go back more often. And Fred, you talk about it all the time. I decided when we were on that trip, I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to make more of a habit, go back a couple times a year and spend time not only in East Lansing, but Detroit and back and forth. It was a underrated place to be. I don't go back often enough.
I go back to Detroit, if you don't know, several times a year.
Yes.
I keep it real.
Yes, you do.
I keep it 100, as the kid said.
It's not good unless you use the emoji. You have to use the emoji online for it to count.
And normally I'm the guy who I love to root against this storybook ending because it's like ha ha ha, and it's funnier that way. This was one of those storybooks had we gone through all this and flown out there and done all this and and they lost, I like to think I would have been able to at least kind of laugh at the situation of it. But I was so freaking happy for those kids and for my friends and everyone else. It's not often you get to experience pure, I would say, untainted joy. This is an actual joyous occasion here. Except for the other team. That sucks.
You found God.
But Fred, How often does something like that happen where it's like, all right, there's no way you can be cynical about any of this. This is a moment of pure joy.
I'm
here.
impressed you came home with a smile on your face. I'm not used to seeing this.
Joy.
My God, not one negative thing to say.
Let me consult my gratitude list. I can tell you the last. I'll tell you this, though, is that now the kid gets to go from your friend's kid gets to go from the beautiful Michigan State campus to even more beautiful Eastern Michigan's campus in Ypsilanti. That kid must really like baseball to go head over to that dump. And I'm not making fun of your friend's kid. Congratulations. I'm very happy you
I
won.
spent a weekend at Eastern Michigan University
and you survived.
as part of the Hugh O'Brien Youth Foundation.
You were picking up trash. And you
no, I was the representative from Avondale High School to attend the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Foundation, HOBY, as it's called, Hugh O'Brien Youth. And Hugh O'Brien, as I'm sure you know, was the actor that played Wyatt Earp. Okay. And he started this youth foundation. Sure. It was a leadership conference, you understand.
Sure.
And a weekend at Eastern Michigan, Fred, it was delightful. I really enjoyed my time there, too. But that was that many years ago, Fred.
So Michigan...
You understand.
Make a local comparison.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, I could
this.
just do this for you. So Michigan's got, let's say, 5 public universities. University of Michigan's the best. Michigan State's the second best.
What do you mean by best? Academically?
Just the best. Like the funnest is Michigan State. But if you were getting the most valuable degree.
Yeah, I would say is Michigan, yes.
There's a debate. You had to think about that for a second?
Without a doubt. I mean, this is what I'm telling you.
The best academic institutions in the country.
John,
yes.
What I'm telling you is 100% true.
Okay.
I'm not lying. This is 100% true. It goes Michigan's number 1, Michigan State's number 2. Western's not that far behind Michigan State, but Michigan State's better. Central's not very good, but it's okay.
Okay.
And then there's, if you dig far enough, you'll find Eastern Michigan.
Okay.
Right. Ypsilanti is like a dangerous quasi-city, and it's a dump.
Ypsilanti is where in the great state of Michigan?
Near Ann Arbor.
Okay.
Well, north of Ann Arbor.
I was going to say east.
But Eastern, you're
Northeast.
saying is dangerous?
It used to be. That's where that kid, remember that big prospect that never panned out? He was the number 1 prospect.
Amani Bates.
Amani Bates. He's from Ypsilanti.
He went back. He went back to Eastern Michigan to play there, didn't he?
Oh, did he go play Eastern
I think he
Michigan?
went back. I have to check.
Right there. It's actually a little southeast.
Okay, south of Detroit. Yeah, it's not the best. But I know the best player ever, the best basketball player ever until recently at my school, North Farmington, Rick Anderson, R-I-C-K Anderson. You know him? He plays for North Farmington. He went to Eastern.
He did. He went back to Imani Bates went back to Eastern. He's in the G League now, but that he played at Memphis. That didn't work out, so he transferred back to Ypsilanti, played 2 years there, and is now in the G League with the Cavaliers.
If you don't know what we're talking about, first, it'll take me 30 seconds. Imani Bates was the best player in high school basketball. The reason his story, he was the number 1 kid for his grade. The reason his story is interesting is his father pulled him out of his school in Ypsilanti and created his own school where there were obviously problems because his dad created a school that is not a real school. And so that all blew up, and then he ended up going to Missouri under weird circumstances, and that all blew up. And now he may never play in the NBA. Chances are he will not. All right, Hardy, what's going on?
Well, we got a big Game 5 tonight, Freddie, but we had big goings-on over the weekend down at Pinehurst, number 2.
I watched it. I watched the last 5 minutes of it.
So we will talk about what will be happening tonight, but also what happened last night with regard to the U.S. Open.
So, John, if you have to take a dump, now would be the time because Hardy's got this one.
He's holding forth, yes.
He's got this one.
Even
though I saw it live.
Yeah.
Well, then we've all got it. Wallach was watching it.
I was watching it.
Yeah,
but this is your time to shine, my friend. This is it.
Yeah.
It's the golf show come to Monday morning.
Oh, how was the golf? Did you even do the golf show on Sunday?
I did the golf show from the hotel in East Lansing.
Huh?
Did you and your daughter stay in the same room?
Yeah, we did. Which I'm like, how is that going to go? It was fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Did you wake her up by doing the golf show? Or was she excited just to be around you while you were doing it?
I went into a conference room.
Oh, because I thought she would want to check it out. I thought she'd want to be a part
She
of
listened later on the podcast.
No, you could have YouTubed it, right? It's on YouTube. You could have watched it.
No.
No?
it. Oh, no, it's
we
not
don't
on
do that?
YouTube. No,
Oh,
because
okay.
he's crying half of it because of the emotion of the whole affair. All right, we'll be right back.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Did you catch a game last night?
Hey, everybody. We are Toucher and Hardy. It's funny, Hardy's going to a concert this weekend. I'm going to Boogie with a Hoodie on Thursday. I know all his material, but Hardy's seeing someone who did a cover of, who does a cover of Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, and every time I hear that, I think about how Saturday Night Live, after Trump won, but I didn't vote for Trump, but after Trump won, they did a non-ironic, non-funny, non-parody version. They had Kate McKinnon play Hallelujah to start the show, and Hardy agrees with me that was the worst thing he's ever seen on Saturday Night Live, and that's without hyperbole, the worst thing I've ever seen. And what I think is funny is that to the people that generally review comedy or review popular culture, those like Rob Schneider did a gig at a some charity, and they kicked him off the stage because he's did a bunch of like quote unquote right wing material, and they have every right to. And I actually heard Robert Kelly talking about it. And he's like, "Look, if you're going to do these charity things, you got to kind of know the room. Like, if you're going to take the money for it, you got to. You're not going. You're doing. You agreed to this charity thing. You got to kind of." So even comedians were like, "All right, Rob." But as much as you might hate that material, what Kate McKinnon did was every bit as bad as that, because she just and even worse because she wasn't even trying to be funny. So like she just went out and made a non-ironic, non-parody, non-humorous political statement on a comedy show. And so as much as you might agree with what she did, that's as offensive to anyone else that didn't agree with her as any Rob Schneider thing said. But at least Rob Schneider, who I don't find funny, by the way, but Rob Schneider's telling jokes. There's my point. Thank you.
No, it was, like the most heavy-handed, self-serving, like, wait a sec, what does this have to do with anything? Oh, you just want to have a poignant moment. And it was so bad on so many levels because, all right, well, you're doing this song that's overdone to begin with. You know, the Leonard Cohen himself said, please stop covering this song. And he said it 15 years ago. It was already being covered too much. But now we're going to take this moment at what you view as a pivotal moment in this nation's history. Okay, fine, it was, yes.
Then make a scalding comedy piece.
Yes,
going
because you're a
crazy on
comedy
him.
show.
Right, like really, you know what? Take the reins off. Take the governor off. Just make a real, like biting, hardcore comedy piece against the election. Then if people don't like it, F you. You don't like it, screw you. This is what we do. We started as a counterculture show. We're a counterculture show, and we're in your face. And we think this is funny. But to just come out and sing a song like the world's coming to an end, I mean, that's every bit as bad as anyone that these like AV clubs and awful announcings take shots at. I mean, it's worse because it wasn't even under the guise of being funny. You can miss on a joke, but just doing that. I mean, the guy, at least got won the electoral election. I mean, you just did that, and if I was someone who voted for Trump, I'd be like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, they have every right to do it, but that's just every bit as bad, if not worse, than Rob Schneider did win the comedy thing. All right, go ahead.
All right. So yesterday, U.S. Open at Pinehurst #2, and I still don't see it in there, guys. I don't know where it is.
Number 2.
All right.
Pooh.
Bryson DeChambeau had a 3-stroke
Rochambeau. $5, please.
Bryson DeChambeau had a 3-stroke lead going into the final round. He led 3 players. He was at 7 under par, and we had talked about this, like on Thursday, how U.S. Open courses, they tend to make them a little tougher, and that's a 6 under was the winning score when they thought it was going to be lower at Brookline. Well, that course started playing crazy at the beginning. It was playing crazy over the weekend. The greens, I'm sure you were watching it too, Fred. These guys were hitting what I would call good golf shots onto some of those greens, and they just wouldn't hold. The balls were just rolling off, upside-down salad bowls, as they were referred to, because everything had a crown, and the balls would just roll off. So guys weren't able to make a bunch of birdies. You know, they were happy for the most part making pars. And I think Rory McIlroy would have been happy making some pars on the way in. But instead, as he retook the lead late in the round on Sunday, he made bogeys on 3 of his 4 holes coming in, including 2 missed putts inside of 4 feet. The biggest one coming on 18 after they both found it. Do you have it there, Dan?
Excruciating decade-long wait and excruciating short misses for McIlroy coming down the stretch.
Oh, that was after.
That was afterward. Okay. So the fact is, a lot of guys are missing putts all over the place, and Bryson DeChambeau missed a short putt on his way in. But for Rory and Bryson both to find the left rough on 18 and be in that position, more on Bryson here coming up in a minute. But Bryson is essentially clinging to a 1-stroke lead after Rory makes 3 out of 4 bogeys on the way in. It was just brutal to watch. He bogeys 15, 16, and 18.
2 of which were under 5-foot putts that he missed.
Under 5-foot putts. Bryson bogeys 15. He makes par on 16, 17, but then he finds that fescue, that native area, as they call it, drives the ball.
Thank you
left.
for saying native.
Drives the
You
ball.
finally,
You very delicate.
learned.
Very delicate.
Left on 18. He's got he's under a he's got a shortened backswing. He can't even hit the green with his second shot. He finds a bunker 50 feet from the hole.
How'd you
with
know
his
he had a
second
shortened
shot.
backswing? He only practiced it 5,000 times.
Well, he had to back off because the Frenchman that he was playing with apparently played borderline out of turn, and he was ready to hit his shot. And then the French guy's like, "No, I'm going to hit."
No,
even
the
though
French guy
no
hit.
Chance of winning.
The French guy hit because DeChambeau was taking forever. That's why he hit. I'm on Team Frenchman.
I don't know, man. You're coming down to the last hole of the U.S. Open, and you're out of it, and there's a guy who's got a 1-stroke lead, and he's playing to win it. I think you let him take all the time that he needs.
He took, John, you watched it. He took 5 minutes once he got to the ball.
But Hardy's right.
No, he's not.
Hardy's right.
No, he's not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. You stop right there.
All right.
Go ahead. I know more about golf.
I'm Team
than him.
Hardy, just so we all know that.
DeChambeau puts his second shot into a bunker about 50 feet from the hole and blasts out to about 4 feet. He's got a 4-footer. He's already missed one less than that just 3 holes before. Rory has missed 2 of these over the last 4 holes. Bryson DeChambeau with a chance to win his second U.S. Open.
Another epic up and down at Pinehurst for a U.S. Open championship. Bryson DeChambeau now has 2.
I like DeChambeau. I don't like DeChambeau.
Yeah.
I like DeChambeau.
They asked him after how difficult, if he had to rank that shot 1 in 100 out of the bunker. He said,
I wanted to get this one done, especially at such a special place that means so much to me and SMU and my dad, what pain meant to him. That bunker shot was the shot of my life.
Yeah. He said it was 100 out of 100. He said it was the hardest shot. And I'm like, But thank God Payne Stewart.
Did he? I didn't hear. I didn't hear him say.
He said that to. He said that to Scott Van Pelt. He said rank that shot in difficulty 1 to 100, and he said 100.
Under the circumstances, sure. But he said. I also heard him say afterward. He's like, I practiced. Those.
No, he said it the same thing.
Okay.
He goes, I practice those all the time. My caddy said to me, "You can like this. You've done this a million times." But he said it was 100 out of a scale of 1 to 100.
Oh, I don't know.
Don't question me.
Okay, I'm questioning.
He said he used a 55.
I'm not questioning
wedge.
you as much as I'm questioning him. It's like, well, you could either pick it or you can blast it, and I think he blasted it, and it was a good shot.
I know he used a 55-degree wedge. That I remember.
Oh, good for you for knowing that. So this is the thing with Bryson. He references Payne Stewart. Mike Tirico comes out, and he hands him a Payne Stewart hat, a Kangol, right? He's like, first of all, you feel bad for Mike Tirico. It was almost like you told me to ask you about the Johnny Gomes. He said, so apparently you want to wear this hat. And Bryson takes off his logo hat from the LIV, his team logo from LIV, puts on the Payne Stewart hat for a minute, points up at the sky. He's like, yeah. And it was like, okay, it's kind of a nice moment. And then immediately takes it off and puts his LIV team hat back on. Like, these frickin' people, and whether it's your team logo or whether you're, I don't understand how it can be that important. Like, what are they selling in merchandise for those LIV hats?
Oh, it was
it
was like a skull and crossbones, but with tees.
God.
It was really badass. I can see Street Gang starting to wear them. The Payne Stewart, by the way, one time in Hilton Head, when I was a kid, he was a real jerk to me in a bathroom of a hotel.
Huh.
Who was?
Payne Stewart. And he's like, do you know who I... He's like, something like along the lines, do you know who I am? And I'm like, no. Like, I'm a kid. And he's like, I'm Payne Stewart. And I went, oh, you're the guy who dresses like an a-hole. Okay.
Well, he died tragically, Fred.
Ah! Is it too soon?
It is.
Why is DeChambeau or DeChambeau? Why is he so obsessed with Payne Stewart?
I don't know. He was 5 years old when Payne Stewart died.
Yeah, because I was a kid when Payne Stewart died.
He had the Payne Stewart button on the back of his
Well,
head.
that doesn't explain why he knows him.
But yeah, like he went to SMU. I guess Payne Stewart went there, and maybe I should know, but I kind of
so
don't care.
DeChambeau
maybe
is
the same area.
DeChambeau's a 12-year-old girl. Excellent. He's adopted this personality of being very close. That's like someone who's like
DeChambeau is.
Yeah, that's like someone who's like in high school in 2005. That's like, I feel very close to Jim Morrison. Like, no, you don't.
So he wears the Payne Stewart hat for like a second, and he takes that off. And then he starts referencing the crowd. And now the conversation afterward is like, wow, he's really turned it around. He's really matured. And the crowd really, really loved him. Like, do people really like DeChambeau now? And I think he's insufferable still with some of his analysis and the way he talks about it. But it becomes less insufferable when he wins. Because generally, there's nothing more annoying than somebody who hits a good shot or plays a game well and then wants to tell you how he did it. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, whatever. But for him, that is the process. It's not him inventing something afterward. That's how he plays all the time. He thinks himself like into circles, and it's cost him at other times. But no, that's how he plays. Everything is a calculation. So it's authentic. It's not BS from DeChambeau.
Yes. That is a lot on the U.S. Open. I will tell you this.
There's a lot more coming up, Fred. There's a lot more.
They were chanting USA, USA after McIlroy missed that putt.
I did see that.
Oh, and that's okay. So
xenophobic.
Etiquette. That's not correct. Shouldn't be doing that.
And
xenophobes.
Yeah.
DeChambeau
Typical racist golf fans.
Yeah.
He's trying to quiet everybody down. People are like, oh, do people really like DeChambeau now? I said, you got to remember, you're in North Carolina.
Yeah, racist.
Okay. It's not
your daughter,
racist.
You're going to let your daughter go to school there? She's going to come back with a hoodie herself.
Fred, dare I say it's a little political? Like, out of the two presidential candidates, which one has talked glowingly about the LIV?
Yeah.
Which one has a lot of support in North Carolina?
Yeah.
Which one is it like, okay.
Is Trump a big LIV guy?
Yeah.
Huge.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Huge.
How would I know that? I don't know.
He hosted one of the tournaments at one of his hotels in northern Jersey. It's a huge thing.
So I think that's, and people say, sure, you should like DeChambeau. He's a great golfer, and he's playing really well, and I think he's fun to watch. But if you take what the crowd was chanting in North Carolina as some kind of indication as to how he's perceived globally, just remember where it is and what's going on there.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a
people in North Carolina not fans of the Irish. They like their white Protestant Anglo-Saxons.
Oh, is that true? I didn't know.
I think that's what they are. They're still they still find Irish to be minorities in North Carolina.
Game 5 tonight, Fred. A lot on that coming up.
Very good.
On Game 5 tonight, Fred.
You got to feel loose. You got a lot of U.S. Open in there. You got to feel good.
Oh, I feel so good.
All right, fine. He's gonna go outside and
we've lost him for the rest of the show.
He's gonna lay down and have a cigarette and take a quick
Blew
nap.
it all here in the first 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Sorry, 40 minutes. 40 minutes.
All right, we'll be right back.
Sports Hub headlines.
It'll be the Celtics and Dallas Mavericks in Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight at TD Garden. Kristaps Porzingis at practice yesterday. He's officially questionable for tonight. We'll have the pregame at 7:30 and then the tip-off with Grandy and Max at 8:30 on the BetMGM 98.5, the Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Rory McIlroy collapsed down the stretch, and that handed Bryson DeChambeau the U.S. Open golf tournament yesterday by one shot. McIlroy bogeyed 3 of the final 4 holes to finish one shot back. And the Red Sox beat the Yankees again last night, 9-3 at Fenway Park. Connor Wong, 3 RBIs. David Hamilton, 4 of the Sox franchise record, 9 stolen bases in this game. They visit Toronto tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Cape Cod Lumber and CCL Homescapes. 100% employee-owned, your go-to independent lumber yard. Partner with CCL and CCL Homescapes for all your building needs right in Abington. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
No matter where you go, you're always connected to Boston sports with the 98.5 The Sports Hub app. Download it wherever you get your apps today. the Sports Hub.
But I couldn't go because I had prior plans. So I went to my their mother's house because my daughter was there, and my daughter and I were supposed to go to the movies. But as soon as I got on the couch there, I fell asleep, and I slept from 12:30 to 5 o'clock.
Oh,
nice.
What were you going to see?
Inside Out 2.
Yeah. That's a big one. All right.
Inside Out 2. About the Inside Out 2, yes. It's about the cutting.
Different types of bodies.
Cutting a beast inside out. It's a 45-minute explanation of how to make the initial cuts of after the kill. And did you like Empire? Is that your favorite Star Wars? When Luke cuts open the beast and
the
crawls
tauntaun.
inside the tauntaun, you say?
Yes.
Okay, so he crawls into that tauntaun. I can never make it past that scene without having to leave to get my wits about me.
He doesn't kill him with a blaster. He dies from the cold, but he cuts him open with a lightsaber.
That's right.
It's just
Han
the
Solo
one,
to save his buddy.
It's just the one shot with the lightsaber.
My lightsaber's a sharp rock.
Okay.
Would use one or two to kill that tauntaun.
That's 2 shots. Period.
Well, we've had this discussion before. One to wound the beast, to have the thrill of following the trail of blood, and then the second one to put it out of its misery.
The first one is purposely not a kill shot.
Yes, it's the thrill of the chase because there's nothing quite like it's silly in a way. You'll wound them pretty bad, not on a leg or anything, but on the side. And then they'll cook off there. They'll take off like the Dickens, and you're like, you go, and you give them that little thought that they might get away, but they aren't. There's a trail of blood telling me just where you are.
Not a great shot when you're struggling. This right here, when you're struggling, is exactly what you love to see.
Yeah, that's a roadkill.
Good Father's Day, Wallach?
Yeah, I played 9 holes with my wife and 2 boys.
That's great. All right,
Why's
so
your
the
wife
Celtics
there?
play Game 5
Jesus,
tonight.
It's Father's Day.
Oh, I'm kidding, Wallach. Go ahead. You played 9 holes with everybody.
That's fine. No, that's it. That's it. 9 holes. We had a great time. Dinner with the wife and boys afterwards. Good time.
Where'd you eat?
I don't want to step on. I don't want to step on what you have coming here.
What'd you
eat? What'd you eat?
No, it's okay.
What'd you eat?
It's not necessary.
What'd you eat?
Steak. All right.
Oh,
There you go.
You went out?
No, we had steaks in.
Oh,
That's it.
Did you grill them?
No, did not grill them. Should have, but the propane valve was stuck on the old Weber grill. Wasn't able to get it fired up. So
how'd you cook the steaks?
we did put them in the oven. Unfortunately,
Oh, like a cast iron?
Yeah.
That's no good.
No, it's not bad.
No, it's bad. You got to fry them.
Just did not fry them.
No, that's what you do.
No.
All right. Very good.
All right,
But thanks for asking, Hardy. Gosh, that was nice.
Nice presents?
No presents.
What?
No presents.
Not even a card?
Not even a card.
I got a book, I got a T-shirt, and I got a coffee mug.
See, that's awesome.
I got
did not
2
get
cards.
any of those things.
I got 2 cards, and this
I
year,
got 3 cards.
this year my son won
4.
Really?
because my son won because last year my daughter won with the Father's Day cards because she had the most heartfelt message, and this year my son won. So we're keeping track.
Yeah, you have to.
You have
keep
to.
scoring things like that.
Yeah, because you just want them to get better and better, make yourself feel good.
All right, Jason Tatum, after the Celtics got blew out by nearly 40 points on Friday night. Yeah, I was trying to watch that game on Friday night in the hotel, but what's the point when you kind of don't show up and then you pull all the starters with
3 minutes left in the third quarter.
I was going to say 15 minutes left, which by my math means they didn't even make it into the fourth.
Correct.
Tatum?
Joe did a great job today of reminding us that it's okay to smile during war. It's okay to have fun during high pressure moments. That's what makes our team unique and special. We would love to win tomorrow, but if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. We have more opportunities.
I don't know if I love that.
There are a couple of speed bumps there.
It is okay to smile during war.
Oh, that's right. You smile during the hunt, don't you?
Well, especially if one of your buddies steps on one of those mines that where what do they call it, Hardy? You read where the little ball flies up about
IEDs, I believe?
no. Fly. They're from back. It was not so long ago, but you would step on the mine, and then a little ball would go about waist high and explode. And you go, whoops, yoke's on you. Those actually existed, by the way.
I know. This is terrible. Awful.
They were mines designed to blow your balls off.
Right, just to maim.
Mm.
So I heard Joe Murray and Cerrone battle talking about this yesterday.
I was driving home during their show.
Okay. And they talked about
corn for a long time.
Is that right? There was a healthy amount of food talk, hush puppies, where one can buy and consume hush puppies in the Boston area.
The difference between how corn is cooked between the exotic locale of North Carolina and here.
Well, Cerrone making the bold assertion that North Carolina has and South Carolina has the best barbecue. I believe Kansas City might have something to say about that, along with St. Louis and Texas and
Texas,
Tennessee.
I assume, would be number one.
No, they like that vinegar base down in the Carolinas. Anyway, for them to make the departure from food talk and talk basketball, they talked about the closeout mentality that other teams have had over the years. And, everyone from Jordan to Steph Curry, they've talked about and failed in closeout opportunities, sometimes because in the locker room they've said long after the fact, yeah, we knew we weren't going to get the win that night because that other team was going to come out and just play the game of their lives. If anything, I would think the Celtics might actually be on the opposite end of that spectrum, like maybe playing too tight at the beginning of the game. Now, I didn't see the first 5 minutes. Were they super, super tight?
They said after the game that they were, a bunch of them said after the game that they were far too tight. They put far too much pressure on themselves to get it done.
Yeah.
So that seems, that tracks. That makes sense to me. I don't think they would have essentially resigned themselves to the fact that, Dallas is probably going to get one here. So
No. What happened is, if you listen to them talk after Game 3, they were talking about how it's surreal and they can't believe this is all happening. So obviously they spent the off day. Not that this is an insult to them; it's just human nature. They spent the off day like thinking about what it was going to be like to win the championship the next day. And then you get up there, and then you're like, oh, we have to play basketball.
And Doncic starts making shots, and Kyrie starts making shots because he's in Dallas, and he's playing free and easy, and all of a sudden you're down by 20.
Yeah, you're playing another professional basketball team with talent on it, and it wasn't Doncic and Kyrie that were interesting. It was that role players went off.
Derek Lively hit the first 3 of his career. That certainly helped.
There was a bunch of stuff going on. All right, we got a break. Last night, the Red Sox beat the Yankees. They've taken 2 or 3 from some very good teams this week. They had 9 stolen bases, a Red Sox record last night, which I'm questioning how the Yankees play defense. A lot of no throws on these things, a lot of weirdness. It was almost Little League-esque. If they had a runner on third, they would just kind of concede second. It was kind of weird. You don't see that often in the major leagues. But nonetheless, good for the Red Sox. But there was a story. Our friend Tristan Cassis was mic'd up, and he told a story maybe we can all relate to a little bit. We'll have that for you in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
This summer's hot.
FM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. The Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
After losing big on Friday night in Dallas, the Celtics get another shot at the Mavericks tonight at TD Garden as the two teams play Game 5 of the NBA Finals, with the Green leading 3-1. We'll have the pregame at 7:30 and then the tip-off with Grandy and Max at 8:30 on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Jason Tatum's team was a little tight during a Game 4 loss. A word from his head coach. Relax.
Joe did a great job today of reminding us that it's okay to smile during war. It's okay to have fun during high-pressure moments. That's what makes our team unique and special.
Kristaps Porzingis was at practice yesterday. He is once again listed as questionable. According to the LA Times, J.J. Redick formally interviewed for the Lakers head coaching job Saturday. In North Carolina yesterday, Bryson DeChambeau fired a final round of 71, but that was enough to beat Rory McIlroy by one shot and win the U.S. Open Golf Championship. McIlroy had this one taken care of, but he missed a pair of par putts under 4 feet long to give the title away in the final 3 holes. Red Sox beat the Yankees 9-3 at Fenway Park to take 2 out of 3 from the best team in the majors over the weekend. David Hamilton stole 4 of the Sox franchise record 9 bases in this game. They visit Toronto tonight, and the day after losing starter Yoshinobu Yamamoto to a strained rotator cuff, the Dodgers are now without Mookie Betts indefinitely. He was hit by a pitch and fractured his left hand yesterday. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Dr. Matthew Lopresti and Leonard Hair Transplant Associates, the hair doctor of Hardy and Brian Scalabrini at 1-800-GET-HAIR. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app. The 98.5 The Sports Hub app.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch our show every morning on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and subscribe. That's how you do it. Last night, the Boston Red Sox played Sunday Night Baseball, even though there was superior games on the docket. But no, fear not. The Red Sox don't look now, but they've 2 best teams in baseball they played. They took 2 or 3 from the Phillies, and they took 2 or 3 from the Yankees. And they did so in an exciting fashion last night, as they had 9 stolen bases, which is a Red Sox record. It was funny to see because the Yankees were conceding bases in some instances, and good on Cora for taking advantage of that. But you told me something, John, during the break.
Yeah, the catcher for the Yankees, Trevino, I saw this stat last night. I forget where I saw it. He had the slowest throw to second in the majors, 71 miles an hour, which is like throwing an eephus pitch to second base. So Cora,
nice arc on it,
armed with the scouting knowledge, said, you know what? We have a pretty quick team. Jarren Duran's pretty good. Hamilton, that's what he's known for. Speed guys, you go. Hamilton stole 4 bases last night. Guys like Dominic Smith and Bobby Dahlbeck, who are as slow can get, each had a stolen base last night. Sox had 9 stolen bases in all.
Yeah. And last night, Tristan Casas was mic'd up during the game. He talked a lot to the people at ESPN, and I like it. I like when they talk to the players, and he had this story to tell.
My favorite memory of my dad, right? I heard AC tell his when I was in Little League, right? Coach Pitch, I had to have been 6 or 7 just because of how young I was when I kind of enacted the way that I did in this type of situation that I had. Oh, boy, Foxy. So I'm in Coach Pitch, and, I'm so young. I don't really know what's going on at this point still. I'm still just playing baseball just to burn calories and get out there and get some sun. Right. And, I get out one day, and I come back to the dugout crying, pissed, and, that's what a 6-year-old does. He sits on the bench, and he cries, and he doesn't want to go out there when, his team's playing defense. So my dad, being the dad that he is, trying to teach me the lessons that he did in his own special way, came into the dugout. He actually grabbed me by my shirt, dragged me to the line, and Looney Tunes style kicked me out onto the field. And actually had one of my best friends that I went to high school with later. He ended up playing pro ball. His mom actually called child services on my dad, had him arrested at the field. No, for real. This is no joke. At the field, I see my dad go away in the cop car, gets arrested, sent the night to jail.
You're
But
kidding.
that day, my dad taught me a super valuable lesson that not a lot of people know, and it's that I had a responsibility to my teammates, I had a responsibility to my coaches, to the parents that showed up that day, all the fans who were at that Little League game, whatever it may be, to go out there and give my best effort no matter how I was feeling on the bench.
Yeah, I'm sure you got that lesson then when they saw your dad get pulled away in a cop car. There's several things I want to say about this. A, you have no responsibility to the quote-unquote fans in the stands when you're 7 years old. Yeah. B, you have no responsibility to the coaches at all. C, you did not learn that lesson. I would imagine the lesson that you learned was that you saw your dad get arrested. Now, I will say this. If he's not exaggerating, his dad actually got put in a cop car and spent the night in jail for that. That's insane. And now, how old is Casas?
He's in his mid-20s.
All right, find it, buddy.
All right.
You find how old he is, because I think we're finally getting to the age where the generation that is now playing sports is of the Karen generation.
Yeah.
24.
Yeah, it's 24. So we are finally to the spot now where these major league guys have played in Karen-like situations, where that someone instead of talking to the guy and go like, "What the hell are you doing?" And the game stopping and say it was bad, the game would stop and you'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?" This, that, and the third. But if this is the way that this really went down, you just sit in the stands and call the cops, and then the cops come and find the guy and go, "What happened?" And they're like, "Well, you kicked him in the ass," and then they arrest him and put them in jail. So one of two things happened. A, it was way worse than Tristan Casas is describing, and he's kind of blocked it all out. And the story's been told to him over and over again as way less than it was. Or I'm not believing the story. Because when Milo was a kid, when he first was playing T-ball, he was crying about not wanting to go to the game. And I was like pulling him, and I'm like, come on, play. You got to play in this game. And he was crying. And the guy goes, "Hey, I'm in charge of the T-ball league. I've been doing this for a long time. I got to tell you that he's really little, and I know to you this seems like a big deal, but I can assure you that it's just not that big a deal." And I went, "Oh, okay, that's good advice, thanks." And so I was just like, and then Milo ended up playing the game. But when they're having fits, it's hard. Like, it wasn't even so much that I wanted to play in the game; it was that he was having fits. But I've seen, just in my kid's lifetime, way worse stuff than that happen at games. There's shooting at the effing one of these AAU games at one of those big barns. I was at a game at the YMCA, a youth basketball game, and the two coaches, this is in Newton, and the two coaches ended up fist fighting because I don't even know what they were upset about. They ended up fist fighting. I've seen a dad run on the court.
I saw that
when I was coaching and make his kids cry.
Yeah, I've seen a dad run on the court and charge at an official. Now, he got cut off before he got there. But I've seen parents leave the stands and charge a basketball official.
Yeah, 617-779-0985. If you are under the age of 30, or if you have kids under the age of 30, I am interested in if this is possible doing, in what you have seen, and did they really get arrested and go to jail? When the two coaches fought at the Y, they didn't get arrested. No one called the cops.
Yeah.
It was two grown men. You're calling for child abuse at that point. And then so he only spent the night in jail. There are a lot of holes in that story. Go ahead.
No, I think the number one thing, as you said, Fred, was not the lesson he would have learned. I would have think he would have been traumatized first and foremost.
Oh, there's no question about it. You see your dad led to a cop car because it's something he did to you. You probably feel it's your fault. Like all this stuff. Absolutely. I told you my high school coach in baseball, he's not alive anymore, so I can say my high school coach in baseball, I was yelling at the stands. I remember where we were at the high school in Birmingham, and I was C whatever.
Bishop Foley?
No, C something, and it was a public school, and I was yelling at these guys in the stands, and the coach came up to me and he's like, "Shut up, shut up, Fred. And he grabbed me and started shaking me and started hitting me around the Seahome. And he started grabbing me and hitting me in the arms. And, like, I've told this other story the year before. Now, it didn't, like, hurt that bad, and I was laughing kind of, but he was dead serious. Like, whatever was going on in his life, he was really taking it out on me. And he was, like, hitting me. He didn't hit me in the face, but he was taking, like, little shots at my arms.
How old were you?
18, because it was the second half of my senior year. It was my senior year. He was taking, like, shots at me. God. And now there's something at the school that's a statue of honoring him, which I thought was odd.
Do you have, like, one memory of something that one of your parents did at one of your games that stands out among all others?
Well, you know my memory. It's not even worth telling of what happened to me when I was a youth. When I showed up to the All-Star game, my memory is my parents not defending me, which I still to this day find unexcusable. Marty Feldman is a piece of garbage. He used to wear Susu Studio Tour, no jacket required, Phil Collins shirts. I was one of the 2 best players on my Little League team. There was a quote-unquote player vote, which we handed our ballots to Marty Feldman. Marty Feldman went through the ballots. He said another kid on the team and Marty Feldman's son had made the All-Star team, and I was the alternate. Marty Feldman's son was as athletic as I would imagine young Nicholas's conjoined twin.
And your parents didn't raise a ruckus over that?
That's not what happened. So I thought as an alternate that I was supposed to go to the game.
Okay.
So I put on my uniform. I was like 8 years old, and I went to the game, and I had my full uniform on. I went to the game. The team was warming up, and Marty Feldman goes, "What are you doing here? You didn't make the team." And I said, "Oh, I'm an alternate. I thought I was supposed to play. Can I sit on the bench?" And he goes, "No, you didn't make the team. What were you thinking?" And my dad was there, and my dad went, "Okie dokie," and we walked away. Now, I think if that happened to one of my kids, when I was doing it, I would have pulled the coach aside, and I would have been like, "You effing psycho. What is it to you, you piece?" All this
as an alternate, just let him be here.
Just let him sit here. What if a kid showed up that didn't make the All-Star team in a uniform? Would any of you just care if he sat on the bench? Hell, I might let him have an at-bat. What is it to you, dum-dum, that the guy can't sit on the bench, you psycho? It pisses me off to this day because now I have kids, and I coached all that time. If a kid, 5 kids would have gone to the game in the uniform and gone, "Oh, hi, I want to play in the All-Star game," I would have gone, fine. Like, I might not put him in the game, but I would certainly let him sit on the bench and warm up and stuff. What is that to anyone?
So the kid who was a Phil Collins fan was there.
No, it wasn't the Phil. Phil Collins fan wasn't the kid. It was the dad.
The dad was.
Which is why I hate No Jacket Required, that tour. It pisses me off.
And it sounds like you've got some issues with your father because when you were told you couldn't be an alternate, there was no reply at all.
Is anybody listening?
Wrong album.
Ha! All right, good job, John. Way to keep him on his toes. But no,
no reply at all.
I talked to my dad. I talked to my dad and mom about this on a yearly basis. A yearly basis, I bring it up, and I go, "You guys, this is why I have so many problems. You let me eat crap too much when I was a kid. You never defended me. I hope they're listening now."
Did you just tell your dad, "Take me home"?
I said the idea the idea I'll live past 30 with this parenting is against all odds. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, so I grew up on Long Island and played lacrosse in college. And during a summer high school game, I showed up getting ready the game before, and all of a sudden a fight breaks out on the field, and the parents are in the stands. This is a summer game. The parents are in the stands starting to yell at each other. All of a sudden, 2 dads just start fighting, like fist fighting. One dad gets his tooth knocked out. Cops show up. The guy with the tooth that gets knocked out winds up in the back seat. It was just like an absolute melee.
Now, how did you guys playing in the game handle that? Did you guys think it was cool, or did it freak you guys out?
We were the game. We were supposed to be playing after them. We were just like, oh my God, like, what is going on? Like, this is just absolute craziness. Like,
that's the thing.
Why are the parents fighting?
I agree with you because a lot of times you think from a distance that you go, "Oh, this is cool. Parents are fighting," but I have a feeling that it's more odd than anything else. Like the first time I saw adults drunk at a Lions game and they were screwing with my dad, I was like, why are adults acting like this?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know adults acted like this. Dan, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, that's Freddie. You hit the nail on the head. I think that for every one story, like these famous people, famous athletes, they'll kind of go through their history and like give credit to things. But for every one successful baseball player, there's 1,000 guys in therapy telling them the same story. My dad beat me on the field, kicked my ass, all this stuff. So, yeah, it's like the 100-year-old guy. They're like, what's your secret? And he's like, oh, I drink a Bud Light every night. And then Bud Light sales go up. It's like, it's silly. It's silly. It's hilarious.
Yeah, there is that thing where you're doing – like, I don't think you're teaching little kids lessons like that. Like, I don't think that little kids have the mental capacity to be, like, taught a lesson that's going to stay with them the rest of my life. And if you listen to it, he goes, the responsibility to the fans in the stands. That's just not true. That's a kick in the ass mixed with a lie. That's not a lesson that has to be learned. You have a responsibility to your teammates. But you do not have a responsibility, and that's stretching it at 8.
As a parent now, too, it's so unfair because I'm sure, like, my mom was there for a lot of stuff, and my dad was there for a fair number of things and was probably good and supportive. But my standout memory was I was in a bad crash at the Waterford BMX track, and it was a hairpin turn. I came out of it, wiped out, and the kid behind me, like, ran right into me, and I was out. I was out cold. Next thing I remember is one of the workers like pulling bikes off of me and stuff and saying, your helmet saved you. That helmet really saved you. And as I was coming around, I saw my dad walking across the infield, like flicking the cigarette out of his hand and a really annoyed walk. Like he was going to have to walk all the way across that infield now to check on me as, you know, I was banged up. I got my bell rung. I was probably one of how many concussions did we have as kids that never got diagnosed? But I'm sure I was concussed. And I looked over and saw him, and I remember being so afraid that he was annoyed that I got back on my bike and finished the lap. You know, the race had been over for a minute, but I just wanted to get away because I was afraid he was going to come over there and yell at me for getting in the accident and getting knocked out.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's like when I got hit in the head with a gun and I came home with blood streaming down my face. My mom started screaming at me, what did you do? And I go, I got hit with a gun. And she goes, what did you do to deserve that? And I'll have my mom on the phone right now and she'll tell you exactly that's what happened. She will not.
Unforgiving.
She knows. No. She feels bad about it.
But that was my question too, Fred. I mean, in defense of your mother, until you told me the circumstances, and now I understand it. Not to get into it again, but that would have been my question too.
It would have been my question once we were at the hospital and it was getting stitched up. I would have that question. I'd save that question until after I knew my kid was okay.
Yeah, but knowing you probably. My first thought would be that you deserved it.
Oh yeah,
you deserve to be.
That's fair. I thought you were going to question my parenting.
No,
as long as you're questioning my.
I'm questioning
my own,
you.
Me. That's fine.
Right.
Because I'm not a bad parent. That I'm not.
No, I believe you are, but I also believe you did plenty of things that deserve.
Oh yeah. I'm a terrible person.
Pistol whipping as a teenager.
Oh yeah. I'm a terrible person. I'll take that. But I treat my kids better than I treat anyone else. Believe me, they're okay. Despite all the garbage in my life, believe me, they're okay. A little bit. We'll see. I mean, this all could come back to bite me. And then, 10 years from now, you're like, hey, but I doubt that's going to happen. All right. If you have any more, 617-779-0985. If not, we will move on. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Big Poppy. A really nice looking trophy.
We are about to get another one in town.
Time we gonna kick it, roof down. Big Poppy.
What you want?
Everybody's getting any bigger than this.
The last week and a half, they're gonna put it together. I can smell that.
Phone is ringing. Oh my God.
Put it together. Saying my boys gonna represent. So we can celebrate. So we can celebrate. Put it together. So we can celebrate. I can smell that.
Thank you. I had food poisoning, and it was real bad Saturday night. And then yesterday was just a matter of healing. And today there's very small remnants of pain. And I appreciate you guys playing this. All right, we played Tristan real quick. I just want to play it again. It's worth playing one more time. Here's his story.
My favorite memory of my dad, right? I heard it.
This is his favorite memory of his dad for Father's Day.
My favorite memory of my dad, right? I heard AC tell his when I was in Little League, right? Coach Pitch, I had to have been 6 or 7 just because of how young I was when I kind of enacted the way that I did in this type of situation that I had. My boy Foxy. So I'm in Coach Pitch, and, I'm so young. I don't really know what's going on at this point still. I'm still just playing baseball just to burn calories and get out there and get some sun. Right. And, I get out one day, and I come back to the dugout crying, pissed, and, that's what a 6-year-old does. He sits on the bench, and he cries, and he doesn't want to go out there when, his team's playing defense. So my dad, being the dad that he is, trying to teach me the lessons that he did in his own special way, came into the dugout. He actually grabbed me by my shirt, dragged me to the line, and Looney Tunes style kicked me out onto the field. And actually had one of my best friends that I went to high school with later. He ended up playing pro ball. His mom actually called child services on my dad, had him arrested at the field. No, for real. This is no joke. At the field, I see my dad go away in the cop car, gets arrested, sent to nice to jail.
You're kidding.
But that day, my dad taught me a super valuable lesson that not a lot of people know. And it's that I had a responsibility to my teammates. I had a responsibility to my coaches, to the parents that showed up that day.
You had no responsibility to the parents that showed up that day. Zero.
All the fans who...
No, what's the difference between the fans and the people that showed up that day? You said it was Coach Pitch. What fans come... I would hate to meet a fan of 8-year-old baseball. They should be the one in the back of a cop car. If you're a fan of 8-year-old baseball.
Just as a preemptive arrest. You know what? We're gonna get you out of the community for a while.
Yeah, there's a 50-50 chance chemical castration's the way to go with you. If you're a fan of 8-year-old baseball. I think, maybe a high-profile Williamsport game or high school baseball is about the cutoff of when you're allowed to go as a fan to youth athletics.
All the fans who were at that Little League game, whatever it may be.
Where'd you go to? Where were you in? What part of the planet were you on? Were there all the fans at the Little League game?
Well, it's like the scene in Good Will Hunting where they all spend the afternoon watching a Little League game. I
didn't even remember that.
Oh yeah, well, and then they get on the fight on the playground afterward because Matt Damon spots the kid who used to beat him up in kindergarten.
Oh boy!
And they follow him to the basketball court.
In retrospect, that's not the world's greatest script, is it? Why were they at the Little League game?
Just watching the neighborhood kids play some baseball.
I'd call into question that 20-year-olds ever doing that ever. I'm calling into question Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. I'm calling into both. Ryan, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, what's up?
My favorite story, youth sports with my father. I was a wrestler growing up, and there was a match when I was in 7th or 8th grade. Me and the other kid didn't hear the ref blow the whistle, and so we were still wrestling. And the ref was kind of inexperienced, didn't really know what to do. Instead of just tapping us on the shoulder and say, hey, time's up, he decided to basically physically strike me in the leg to separate us. And so my father, having just witnessed a referee hit his 13-year-old son on the leg, it was basically just like a Charlie horse. came running out onto the mat, tripped as he got basically close to the ref, and there's this video of basically from the waist down just seeing legs scurry across the mat, and then the two of them just go tumbling onto the ground. It was not his most athletic moment, but it sticks out like a sore thumb in my brain.
But you got to love your dad for that, right?
Oh yeah. I was excited that he had my back. They threw both of us out of the tournament for no reason. It was literally just a misunderstanding. But my father was a wrestler too, and used to tell me all these stories. Oh yeah, I'm still in good shape. This and that. First chance he had to prove it, and he tripped in the biggest moment.
You know what? That might have saved his ass. That might have actually been a moment where someone was looking over him.
Right.
Because it might be better that he tripped in that moment instead of just coming off and hauling off and, like, hitting the guy in the temple and, you know, like, knocking, like, oops, he's killed the guy. But, see, you had a dad that was a real man. Not like my dad, who wouldn't even tell Marty Feldman to let me sit on the bench. And my dad now goes, yeah, I wanted to kill him. Shut up. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And now that I have kids, I mean, you know how dumb I am. For all I know, he thought we had a disability or something. I mean, he should have let me sit on the bench. You could, 45 kids could show up to my All-Star game I was coaching, and I would be like, yeah, go ahead. What do I care? Sit wherever you. In fact, I think I did. I think I had a kid. A kid show up to one of the All-Star games in a uniform, like, confused. In fact, I know I did. And I was like, yeah, it didn't. And you know what? It didn't matter anything to me to such a point. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together until now. But 100 of you all sit. I don't care. Well, that's giving everyone a trophy. No, it's not. It's not shunning someone away when they thought something was supposed to happen. Make it an 8-year-old. I'm talking about an 8-year-old. I'm not talking about giving him a trophy. Now, look, I don't have an All-Star trophy for you after the game. I apologize.
Fred, are you really angry at your father for not sticking up for you, or are you angry at yourself for not being a better ball player and really asserting yourself to where you were an actual all-star?
I am upset at myself for not being a better athlete because
Good.
I do want to go to the gym and knock out some shups in front of the ladies. I think that would do a lot for my sex life.
You can't do anything about it now, but back then I think you could have applied yourself a little bit more.
I did. You know what?
You impressed me as a real layabout as a youth.
How about this? I talked to the other kids on the team and I said, all right, what went on? And they were like, I don't know. We all voted for you. They didn't vote for Marty Feldman's kid.
Are you mad at those kids?
Do you want to see a picture of Marty Feldman's kid?
Okay, are you also mad at those kids for
I would.
For lying about voting for you? Because
you
they
tell me
Fred.
Marty Feldman's kid. It wasn't another kid. It was Marty Feldman's kid who was terrible.
Your friends lied to you. They didn't vote for you. They didn't think you were good either.
That's just
you
mean.
stink.
What are you doing?
You stink. How about that?
Guy's struggling with this enough. You really want to add on more baggage? I mean, it's only 30 years he's dealt with this.
Your dad is still with us. Why don't you talk to your dad about it?
Glasses McGee here. Yeah, that's him as an adult. Yeah. He real all-star.
Hey, looks like Greg Maddux.
Touche. He does look like Greg Maddux. Yeah. Okay. I have a joke I can't say. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, growing up playing Pop Warner football, I think this doesn't have to do with my parents per se, but my team's parents. We had a coach that pretty much overworked us. We lost our scrimmage football game or whatever, and we were practicing from 5 to 7. So at 7 o'clock, all the other teams dispersed. He kept us there running suicides until 9 o'clock, and I just remember a bunch of parents coming out, and it was a big brouhaha with the coach, fisticuffs and everything.
They fought the guy for making you run suicides?
Yeah, man. We were like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. I think he lost a gambling bet.
Nah. I'll tell you this. You're not allowed to call them suicides anymore, which is hysterical to me. Because, that's the reason suicide's a problem.
What do you call him?
I don't even know.
I've never heard it called anything but that.
No, you're not. Have you coached basketball? You're really not allowed to call them suicides.
No.
So I whatever they call them. But I just think it's interesting that because that's why the kid was on the fence about committing suicide, but then you called those suicides, and they're like, oh well, now I'm gonna do it. What a dumb thing. Let's hide the word because the word's the problem. But when I was a kid, I went to a basketball camp. I went to Orchard Lake St. Mary's basketball camp, and they had us in the summer in July outside do an hour and 15-minute jump rope routine. You want to talk about wishing you could do suicides? It was a jump rope routine to increase your vertical jump, and it was insanity. It was insanity. It was a like 2-font list of things you had to do that was an entire page, and it was what you had to do. And they would be like, oh, it's noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, time for this hour and 15-minute jump rope routine. Like, none of us are going to be able to do this. Box jumps, boxing jumps.
Yeah.
The boxing jumps like in every direction, like tic-tac-toe crap. It was insane. The whole like suicide thing, they made us run suicides in like garbage sports when I was a kid.
Well, according to this online resource center, Fred, you should not only not call them suicides due to the negative connotation, but also players should learn that it's quote unquote fun to run. And coaches should include this in practice plans.
Yeah, but suicides are specific for basketball because it's starting and stopping. It's stopping and going quickly from a stop and getting low. That's like suicides are needed for that.
Right, but the suicide, even without the distastefulness of it, still brings a negative connotation to the drill, and you should be telling kids that it's fun to do these things.
Yeah, because they're all just morons that if you go, this is fun, they go, oh, okay.
Time for the fun run, guys. Oh, yeah. This is the one where I want to puke.
Yeah, this is the one where you might throw up.
Right.
This is fun. But I didn't call them suicides when I still coach my daughter, is when I get in trouble. But you should see the things I get in trouble for when I coach her. I said ass one time, which I didn't really was accused of.
Oh, I remember this story. Yeah.
And that was a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different world now. But listen, who am I? I'm just a pawn in the game, my friends.
Shuttle runs or line drills.
Oh, yeah, shuttle runs is what you're supposed to call them. But they're not really shuttle runs because shuttle runs would be you trading off with someone else.
Sure. Handing off a baton.
Yes, that would be a shuttle run.
A baton.
That would be like calling it a 5K. Like, no, they're not a 5K. You're touching a line and running back and then touching another line. Shuttle runs are something entirely different. All right, so we'll be back. Kyrie Irving spoke. John's all wound up about it. This is going to be John's break. John, seriously, I want you to express yourself. Don't back down.
Fine.
You express yourself.
Okay.
I'm being serious.
Let's go.
Very good. All right, Kyrie Irving talked.
You're okay, careful what you wish for because now he's unleashed. The eagle unleashed.
Listen, it's not my responsibility. It's Dan's responsibility for dumping him.
New segment called Talons Out.
Oh, now we're talking branded segments. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Sports Hub headlines.
Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight at TD Garden. Celtics lead Dallas 3-1. Pregame at 7:30, and then a tip-off with Grandy and Max at 8:30 on the BetMGM 98.5, the Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Kristaps Porzingis once again at practice yesterday. Once again, he is listed as questionable. Bryson DeChambeau is your winner of the U.S. Open Golf Championship for the second time. Made a great bunker shot on 18 and parred the hole to beat Rory McIlroy by one shot. McIlroy missed two short par putts in the final 3 holes and finished one shot back. And the Red Sox beat the Yankees last night 9-3 at Fenway Park. They go 4-2 against the Yankees and Philadelphia last week. They open up a 3-game series in Toronto tonight. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by WellPoint, formerly Unicare. They've teamed with Charlie Coyle, Mass State and Local Police, the professional firefighters of Mass and Bruins Radio for face-offs for first responders. If you or a loved one are thinking about suicide, get free and confidential help 24/7 on the Lifeline Network. Just text or call 988-NOW. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock. No, Nicholas grabbed the bull by the horns and put in some...
Good for you, Nicholas.
Wonderful.
Nicholas is very impressive. It only took him 20 years to get impressive, but now he's very impressive. People are starting to recognize what he's doing with the digital stuff. So I'll give him a shout out right now. If you follow the station site, or not the station site, the show site at Toucher and Hardy, that's all run by Nicholas. I don't even have the password to it. So I do think it's funny when people yell at me on it, and I
again with the password, with the passwords.
Huh? Okay.
Again with the passwords.
Yeah. Well, he didn't. Forget it.
Okay. Yep.
You know, my name was on that thing.
Move along.
I think I had a right to some of that.
All right, John.
Toucher and Hardy is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Listen, you brought it up. You thought it was as weird as I did. All right, here we go. Johnny Wall game. Your boy Kyrie Irving.
Yep.
They play tonight. You got to figure that the Celtics win tonight. Yep. I would assume.
I'm just gonna go with the flow into this, but I think that was the wrong approach.
Now, do you have a problem with that?
I have a problem with him saying it wasn't my first choice. Kyrie has painstakingly spent the last week carefully crafting that, you know what, it's my fault. I did everything wrong, trying to diffuse the situation. And then to lead off with the media saying, you know what, I wouldn't have picked here. I just got traded here.
Okay, but John, he said that it wasn't his first choice, which is how he felt, and then he said that he should have came into it with a better attitude.
Yeah, after saying at first that it wasn't my first choice.
But he got traded to a team he didn't want to play for.
I understand that, but there's no reason to bring that up.
Oh, my God,
there's no reason to say that.
Artie, is that fair?
I don't think he needed to bring it up, Wallace.
He didn't have to bring it up.
I don't know what he's. I don't know what his problem is necessarily.
Kyrie is
based on what we've heard so far.
He's confusing. He can never talk in a straight line.
He didn't need to bring it up because it upset you. That's why he didn't need to bring it up.
No, he didn't need to bring it up. Period. There's no reason to say that.
This isn't against you. I just hate in general, like when people go too much information or you had to bring that up. Well, yeah, I had to bring it up. I brought it up, and you didn't like it. So my bad for bringing up, daring to say something that you didn't like. This isn't like he said something preposterous. He said his own feeling.
You're asking me my feelings on this, and this is my feeling on this.
I know, John.
Yes, Fred. Yes.
Can we not do? Don't do that, John. Can we not do this? Can we not have a conversation?
Go right ahead. I'm listening.
Does he know how to handle this, Hardy, or not? I'm trying to have a back and forth with the man.
We'll find out.
Right. This is all good. Your opinion means as much as mine. Okay?
Correct.
I know. Just let it go. We'll do this. You and I.
Yeah, I mean, when I look back on it, getting traded here, this wasn't one of my options. It wasn't like number one on my list. So when the trade opportunity got approached to me, instead of going back and appreciating the Celtics' history, I just came in with an open mind and just kind of like, all right, I'm just going to go with the flow into this. But I think that was the wrong approach.
Yeah,
Great.
He said that it was the wrong approach.
Great.
But he didn't want to go to the Celtics.
So far, so good.
Yep. Okay, but before you said you didn't like it.
I didn't like the beginning of it, I said.
Okay.
Just being young. But now that I'm a little older, hindsight looking back on it, I definitely would have taken the time to get to know people within the community, talk to some of the champions that have come before me, actually extend myself to them instead of the other way around, expecting them to be there for me and give me advice.
So far, so good.
I think that's actually
That's very mature of him to say that. Yes, very mature of him to them. Now, let's see him bring it home. Let's see him finish this off correctly.
Fair enough. I'm just stopping it here and there.
So far, he hasn't said anything. Nope. And the one thing that you could take personally is he didn't think of the Celtics as a place he wanted to be traded to. Now, if that's going to offend you on like some kind of, local level, so be it. But
he has the right to say it.
So far, so good, Fred. So far, showing that newfound maturity. Yes.
Okay, very good.
Because they've been through it. They have championship pedigree here. They've shown it for years. They're one of the most winningest franchise in all of sports. So you have to show your respects here. And I think that's what I struggled with initially, was figuring out how I'm going to be a great player here while winning championships, while also leading a team and selflessly joining the Celtics organization or the cult that they have here.
The cult.
Yeah. Here's where it starts to turn south.
All right.
Here.
The cult. It's a cult.
Yeah.
And that's what they expect you to do as a player. They expect you to seamlessly buy into the Celtics pride, buy into everything Celtics, and if you don't, then you'll be outed. And I'm one of the people that's on the outs. I'm perfectly fine with that. You know what I mean? I did it to myself. They don't welcome me in with warm embrace, even though I know a lot of people in the organization, and my friends still here, some of them. But, yeah, it was just a doing to myself, and that's what I was talking about in terms of accepting the choices. But looking back on it, definitely would have showed my respect and had more of a counsel around me from some of the Boston Celtics that came before me to explain what the pressure is like. So,
yeah, there was the expectation that you, as the leader of a very talented roster, would win. That was the expectation when you got here. You said you were gonna re-sign here, and then 3 months later, you were making plans to leave to Brooklyn.
No, but specifically about what he said. You said you didn't like it.
No, I didn't like the first part of it. I said so far so good, but there's more to this that he starts talking about coming to Boston or not coming to Boston. He was saying, you know what, you better do your homework before you come here. You know, it's not for that part of it. I didn't like. I didn't like that part of it at all. We haven't played that part yet.
All right, that's all I got.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to that, though,
do your homework. Do your homework before you come here.
Okay, I don't think that's necessary.
But John, that's no different than what he said just earlier in it. I mean, I read those comments. His whole point was Boston's a unique situation in that there's a lot of history and it's a rabid fan base. Do your homework before you come here. You know, I wish
Kyrie being passive aggressive.
I wish I would have talked to the older players, and I wish I would have ingrained myself in the community more. I don't understand what's wrong with that.
He said all of those things. That is correct. And I just got through saying that was a very mature way of answering it.
Well, you got mad at the beginning of it.
But, yeah, because he's at the very beginning I didn't like. This part of it shows his newfound maturity. He's found himself. It's a coincidence that he found himself at his last stop, but that's neither here nor there. My point for all of this is, in typical Kyrie fashion, he is good right up until the point where he's not. You can see the history of this. He's great when he gets somewhere, and then it gradually devolves into bad things.
I'm talking specifically about his comments yesterday.
And I'm talking about that too. He said he wished he should have done this. He wished he should have done that. And then it kind of devolves into, you know what? This place isn't for everyone. I'm not sure if people really need to beware when they come here. There are a lot of people that have signed here, that have stayed here and enjoyed themselves. Al Horford, for one, has spent a lot of time here, came back, has said a lot of great things about the fan base. I don't understand what the difference is. Is the difference Al Horford embraced the Celtic way of doing things more than Kyrie did? Or the fact that Kyrie had a massive maturity problem?
He admits he made a mistake. Here's what you're talking about. If any player is coming here, getting drafted here, thinking about coming here for free agency, getting traded here, I just think do your homework and make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. That's something I could offer. You have a problem with that?
I just don't think that needed to be said.
Oh, my God, John.
I don't think that needed to be said at all.
So human beings should only say what you think they need to say?
No. You're asking me my opinion. My opinion is he did a great job of saying it's on me, it's my fault. He didn't have to add any of this stuff. Any of this anti-Boston stuff at all.
Why is that anti-Boston when he goes, do your homework and make sure you know what you're getting yourself into?
It does make it sound like it's not enough just to come in here and play good basketball and be a good teammate. The problem is with Kyrie is he was not a good teammate. He's making it sound like you need to have this fundamental understanding of the history and the dynamics and what came before you, which I would argue you don't. If you just come in here and you don't know anything about Boston and you don't learn about it until long after you've left, that's fine. Are you a good teammate while you're here? Do you work hard? Do you give your best effort every night? That's really all that should be required.
I think if you get traded to the Boston Celtics as a high-profile player who's supposed to change the course of the franchise, you played in Cleveland and you're not used to being in a high pressure, high market situation, it is different. It's entirely different. And I think that what he says is if I'm leaning on the advice of people who've done it before and I did more to reach out and go out of my way to become part of the community, things would have been better. And now that I'm older, I realize that. And the only reason I'm fighting back on any of this, I know, Dan, the only reason I'm fighting back on any of this is that there's enough reasons not to like Kyrie. I just think it's getting, I think that Boston's playing into its like kind of insane fan base, like just insane, us against everyone. It's reminding me a little bit of the Patriots Goodell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it's reminding me a little bit of. Like the guy's like sitting down and going like, I made a mistake. Like And if he's sincere or not, John, he might not be. You have a good point.
I've never thought he has.
Fair enough. But what he's saying though, just it doesn't matter what he says. Everyone just like craps on it, and I think that is a negative thing about Boston sports fans. Is that this provincial, you made us upset, and now nothing you can do could ever change that.
This is a problem of his own doing, Fred. This is not something we're racing around charging after him.
The Boston fan base had a reason to be mad at him, but now he's coming back and saying, "I made a mistake." What do you want him to do? I mean, so there's what I'm saying to you is there's literally nothing he could do to make you forgive him, or to make you.
We've been through this, correct?
Okay, so
I think Kyrie is fundamentally a bad person who has done a much better job in recent years of hiding that part of himself from everybody. He's done a great job of it in Dallas, but he wasn't a good person in Brooklyn.
But you realize
either.
when you say he's a fundamentally bad person, that's completely unfair.
All right, fair enough. Fundamentally bad basketball player to deal with. How's that?
All right, fair enough.
All right, you're right. That went too far. Fundamentally bad basketball player to deal with. And he's hid that part of himself really, really well since he left Brooklyn and wound up in Dallas.
All right, there's people that they want to defend Wallach. They're out in flocks. 617-779-0985. We also have Nick Audio. So much to come.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
This is the flagship station of the Boston Celtics.
Boston Celtics swarm the floor.
WBCFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. The Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
All right, let's get to it. Celtics play Dallas in Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight at TD Garden. Kristaps Porzingis has once again been listed as questionable after another appearance at practice yesterday. And once again, Joe Mazzulla wouldn't give the media any answers about Porzingis' availability.
And so I'm not sure kind of where he's at, but he's trying. He's doing everything he can to try to put himself in position to be out there. I know that for sure.
We'll have the pregame at 7:30 and then the tip-off with Grandy and Max at 8:30 on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. The Lakers, after being turned down by UConn's Danny Hurley, reportedly formally interviewed ABC TV Finals analyst J.J. Redick for their head coaching job over the weekend. Rory McIlroy bogeyed 3 of the final 4 holes to post a collapse to remember at the U.S. Open Golf Championship yesterday. As a result, Bryson DeChambeau is handed the title by 1 shot at Pinehurst number 2. McIlroy, by the way, left quickly without talking to the media afterwards. As for the Red Sox, Connor Wong drove in 3 runs. They beat the Yankees again last night, 9-3 at Fenway Park. David Hamilton added 4 of the Sox franchise record 9 stolen bases in this game. They finished up their homestand against the 2 best teams in Major League Baseball with 4 wins in 6 games. They're in Toronto tonight. And in rugby news, the New England Free Jacks beat the Utah Warriors in Quincy yesterday, 36-27. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Eastern Massachusetts' leader in drain cleaning and pipelining, Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain. You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
This is Kristaps Porzingis.
Left-hand dribble, lobs it. Porzingis catches with one hand and throws it down.
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
What I struggled with initially was figuring out how I'm going to be a great player here while winning championships, while also leading a team and selflessly joining the Celtics organization or the cult that they have here.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us every morning on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. Kyrie talked. John's not the only one. I've read a lot of stuff about people upset with what Kyrie Irving said. To me, it sounded like he was, saying like, look, I went into this situation. I didn't want to go to Boston, which is his prerogative. And then when I got here, he did say cult, which I think is a little bit much. But then he said that he wished that he had talked to like players who had been here and wish he ingratiated himself more in the community. Again, I don't have a big problem with Kyrie Irving, but then again, I'm not a big Celtics fan. John, you have you can say your own point here, and then we'll get the call.
The point I'm trying to make, and the point I continue to make, is I don't think he has any forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't the right word. I just don't think he cares. Regret. That's a good word. And Dan said my headphones, self-awareness. Both of those are correct. I think the maturing he has done over the last 18 months since he posted those anti-Semitic videos online. That is the maturity of being aware enough to force the bad part of himself into the background for long enough, where he makes it seem like he's a good guy, but he really hasn't changed all that much. He's able to push that bad part of himself into the background and smile a lot and make people believe in some places that he's a changed man. I don't think he's changed at all.
I mean, in terms of being a bad teammate and being, self-centered, yes, he was, maybe even still is. But I don't think that makes him like an awful person, especially when we're comparing him to other athletes across sports. I mean, there are some truly bad people out there.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, he might be obnoxious.
I'm not saying he's the worst individual ever. He is the subject.
No, just a fundamentally bad person.
No,
you did say fundamentally
I did, and I corrected myself. Fundamentally bad basketball player to deal with.
Okay.
That's what I should have said. James Harden, for example, another a perfect example of an athlete that's just a bad basketball player to deal with.
Bad teammate.
Bad team.
I think that's a good example. But I will say this is that my thing is that I can understand the Celtics fans booing the guy and wanting the guy to fail. Absolutely. There's plenty of people I want to fail.
By the way, really dumb thing to say if you're trying to avoid being booed again, calling Celtics fans a cult and saying he really didn't want to come here.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's his concern anymore, getting booed. I know it affected him negatively, but I don't think he's doing press conferences to try to win over the fans. But I will say this. My thing is that, like, if we don't believe people can change, you know, when they're saying that they've changed, then there's really no point in life because you can never evolve. Like, there's no point in learning as you get older because there's no way that you can evolve. People change for the worse, for the better. They just do.
And my point to
That's
you,
why no one stays married.
My point to you when you first brought this up when the series started, Fred.
Yeah.
Talk to me in 5 years. If he's still the same way in 5 years, then I'll believe it. All the bad stuff that he did, not only when he was here, but in Brooklyn, it just happened.
It was terrible. I know. It was bad.
Happened.
It was really bad. I know.
Oh, hey, I'm changed. Great. If you're still like this in a few years, I'll believe you, but he has a history of being like this for a long period of time. I'm not buying it right now.
All right. Someone we all know just texted me and said, John is sticking up for his people. Bold. He turned his back on his people. Kyrie is a douche and an anti-Semite. I understand that he is a douche, and I understand he put those videos out that were anti-Semitic, but
would not apologize.
But he did lose all his endorsements and his shoe line and a bunch of other stuff.
Kyrie Irving has made $233 million. He has shot his way out of 3 places, still wound up getting 3 years on $120 million from Dallas. Professionally, this hasn't hurt him at all.
Oh, John, losing that shoe deal was huge. He was in line. He had a movie. He had a shoe deal. He was in line to he didn't want to lose any of that
Uncle
stuff.
Drew movie that he made?
John, you know he was in line to become a huge transcending basketball superstar.
How many yachts can you water ski behind? $250 million he's made, Fred.
John, you know that he paid a price for what he did, and he should have. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, guys. John, you're absolutely right. I'm 100% with you. My take with the comments is when he said the cult and all that, that's when he was taking blame away from himself again and putting it back on Boston. If he didn't say those words, I would have said, okay, apology, okay, sounds good. We'll see what you like in a couple of years. By him throwing out, oh, well, Boston's a cult, I didn't get initiated, that's the underlying concern with this guy is I don't believe a word he says.
Okay, but Brian, what if he meant cult by it's like this rabid fan base, it's a part of the culture, it's cult-like in their devotion to it. Does that change your opinion on saying cult at all? That maybe cult is like a positive from a fan base.
Right.
Like if you play here, people have a cultish obsession with it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I don't find the word cult necessarily by itself wrong.
Right.
What I'm saying is he's shifting blame back to Boston instead of himself when he could have made different choices. You know,
I completely understand what you're saying, and I agree. But I think he's saying that like he didn't want to come here, fine. And the part of the reason he didn't want to come here is because he couldn't handle, I guess, how rabid the fan base was. And then you know what, man? In his mind, he might be like, I'm too intellectual and I'm too, I don't prioritize basketball like these fools.
He's kind of above all that.
He's kind of above all of it, and I understand that. And I can understand how that would piss off Celtics fans. I can't understand that, but I don't like the idea of like having a problem with him saying it. Like he didn't need to say it because he's saying what he feels.
And I think he's saying what a lot of players go through. Jason Lockhart found this. Jason Tatum talking about when he first came to Boston and like the whole culture around the Celtics,
the retired jerseys and everything else. Because at that age, I can only assume you only know the recent history. You don't know 1960s Celtics and what that means. So how long does it take you to understand the totality of it all?
I would say just throughout that season, I had no idea who Cedric Maxwell was. I thought he was.
What? This is Jason Tatum. What did you say?
I had no idea who Cedric Maxwell was. I thought he was just like a radio guy.
Just
a radio guy?
Now I'm insulted.
How about he had the pleasure being on the radio? He was just a player.
I didn't know that he played on the team and he won Finals MVP. So there were just different instances throughout the season, my rookie year, where I would learn about different people that played an intricate part in this organization, the history throughout the Celtics, and what the Celtics mean to the game of basketball.
Once you met Cedric Maxwell, wouldn't you kind of immediately kind of deduce that he had played the game at some point?
He's still
a
6'9".
He's a
I know.
giant.
I blame the AAU system.
Yeah.
Is that you just walk around in this bubble of not like just this so focused on yourself that you're just walking around like, yeah, this is just some 6'9" radio guy that happens to do it. Like Scalabrini. Like, oh, yeah, he's just some really big, strong, in-shape guy that just does the games.
That reminds me when we talked to Lucic before the last season. He told us a story about how he ran into some old guy in the locker room who was just sitting there talking to players. Turned out to be Busick. He had no idea who Johnny Busick was when he showed up. Same thing. Young kid shows up, knows nothing about the Boston Legends.
But Busick's a little more hard to figure out, John, than Cedric Maxwell.
That's fair enough.
Cedric Maxwell, as you stated, is a 6'9" guy.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, Kyrie Irving is probably anti-Semitic based on his behavior, but you don't have to look too far in the NBA to see players that might be on that. You might be rooting for a couple or one or two.
There's a lot of guys just poking around online trying to, like, I don't know, too much time on their hands, not enough formal education to, maybe learn some critical thinking skills. You only spend a year or two in college and then you're gone and you're really not there anyway. But the fact that Kyrie and other guys, Steph Curry admitted to it too. Like, the questioning the moon landing and whether the earth was really round and all this stuff because they just go on YouTube.
But by the way, you got a guy in this team that staunchly supported Kyrie Irving during all of that anti-Semitism stuff and sent out a text applauding the Black Israelites protesting that Kyrie Irving was not allowed to play because of the anti-Semitic video. And that's Jaylen Brown. But no one is yelling at Jaylen Brown. Kyrie Irving's the douche. And he is. But Jaylen Brown supported him. And Jaylen Brown saying that he thought it was a black fraternity that somehow got together and went to New York City. Like a historically black college fraternity that flew up as a group.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
That flew up that some of a historically black community college just at a college fraternity at a college just flew up to New York City or to Brooklyn to protest in front of the thing.
Yeah, it's a field trip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's great. It's like, no. Like, you went to college for a year. I know you went. And you went to Berkeley, too. Like, you know all that stuff. You went to UC Berkeley.
But to Wallach's point and to his credit on this, you're not invoking that because if you do, like you said, Fred, slippery slope. You got to talk about other players, their involvement, their questioning, their interest in things like that. So as important as it is and as problematic as it is, you ignore that aspect of his character, personality, history, whatever. Just taking it based on what he has said recently about when he came here, his initial thoughts, how he handled his time. I still don't have a huge problem with it. And I do think it's possible he has grown up a little bit. Hasn't been a long time.
No,
I get
hasn't.
it. It's only been 18 months. How much can a person change in 18 months?
Okay. All right. When you're young and you're a seeker and you're seeking like knowledge and you're maybe not the smartest guy in the world and they put a microphone in front of you every day to extol your opinions on anything,
right?
The chances are all of us at some point would have been pumping out a bunch of stuff. I'm sure we've all believed at some point, not anti-Semitic stuff or anything like that, and not to anything to that degree, but I'm sure we all thought we had the world, we had it all figured out. I've told you guys many times, the older I get, the dumber I truly believe I am. It's true. I thought I was so smart when I was in my 20s, not when I was in high school because I had evidence I wasn't in grades. But then, when I was, in my 20s, I thought I was, smarter than everyone. And then more and more as I met more people and, learned the way things really are, I realized how stupid I am.
Oh.
So
You're on a stage like this, and the caller we previously had a great point. He is kind of trying to shift the blame away from himself and say, Boston had in general has a part to blame for this, the fandom, all the situation. It wasn't all my fault, and this is after he took on a lot of blame, and now he's kind of changed, like Kyrie does. He's kind of passive aggressively kind of saying, you know what? There's this other part of it too. There are other people to blame for this, not just me.
Well, I will tell you this. I would bet you 90% of the fan base agrees with you and every right to. I just, for whatever reason, I got to believe that people can certainly change. And now he'll probably break my heart.
Yes.
I don't like him. I don't want him to do well. But I just think that we can be, as a fan base, overly critical of these guys. To a fault, like that whole Patriot nonsense when they were winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl, but people were still mad at everyone. They were mad at the league that was giving them the trophy. Think back on that. That was dumb. The Kyrie Irving stuff's different.
Yes, it is
way different. But he's done stuff that's not good. If I was Jewish, I would not forgive the guy, or he'd have to. I could forgive the guy, but he'd have to explain everything and why his opinions have changed, and then then I have to believe him. But the Patriots fans were mad at the league while the Patriots were actively winning. They were mad at the guy that was giving them the trophy that in the league that created the very thing that they were winning. That was odd to me, and you have to admit that looking back, that might be a little weird.
It is a little weird, but this as you mentioned is certainly not that.
No, this is not that. It just has a hint of it, a little hint of it, because you're winning. Boston's winning. The Celtics are winning, and Kyrie leaving allowed this to happen. All right, we'll be back with Chris Forsberg. We'll ask him about anti-Semitism and his feelings on it.
I think that'd be a good jumping off point.
Yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get into that. We'll just talk about it. We'll just knock it around.
We can. And explore some ideas. Let's open up our minds.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Let's look at both sides of the issue.
Who's the biggest racist or anti-Semite? We'll get him on to be a counter. 617-779-0985.
I did just spend the
Line
weekend.
it up.
I just spent the weekend in Michigan, so I got a couple of ideas.
Huh? Yeah, that's the Michigan I never. Oh yeah, were you in Dearborn? Not big fans. All right, we'll be right back.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the.
that?
No.
Oh, wow. Well, you're bringing back memories.
No, what I'm doing is the Jim Rome, when Jim Rome had
that was like one of my favorite moments ever when he's like, do it one more time. And he's like, all right, Chris. Threw over the table.
He was Chrissy. Don't worry, I'll get to it. It was like two morons like having a face off because Everett doesn't come out any. It's Chris. No, who's the
Jim
Everett.
Jim Everett.
Sorry,
Jim Everett,
it's Jim Everett is the quarterback of the Rams at the time, and he's talking to. This is like old school Jim Rome when he was. I think he wasn't even a national radio guy.
No, this is how he got popular.
Yeah.
This is the incident.
Well, it didn't work at first, but then it really did pan out for him. But the thing is though he had been calling Jim Everett Chrissy Everett in L.A. He had been calling him that, and Jim Everett had gotten wind of it, and he didn't like it, which is stupid. Like, okay, like what do you care? So it's this idiot Jim Everett across from this idiot Jim Rome having this stare down about if he's going to say it or not. And then he finally goes, don't worry, I will. I'll say it again. And he goes, say it again. And he goes, I will, Chrissy. And then Jim Everett goes over the table and like knocks Jim Rome over, who's 5 feet tall. So it wasn't very difficult for him. All right.
The early days of ESPN too. It was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, when they were scrambling. And that's when, they were scrambling. There was a lot of pressure, unlike now where it's like cornhole championships. All right, Chris. So where do they have you tonight at the Garden? Where you're in the jungle tonight, aren't you? You're in the heat of it.
I'm awaiting deployment. I'm going to spend my morning. I don't know if I need Kevlar or what. So I think my bosses are somewhat torn about whether they can, in good faith, put me outside, considering the chaos that might be out there. But we are efforting ways to potentially make it happen. So could be like a game time feel about whether I get to go out there and. Whether I have a perimeter or what, but I got to say, like, part of me really wants to just be out there in the chaos. Those are my people. We've had a lot of fun through this playoff run. It would feel like it would be just feels like it has to end with me somehow being out there. Maybe I'll wait till it dies down a little bit, and I don't know. Maybe it only gets more dangerous as the night goes on. But I hope we get to cross that bridge tonight. I'll put it that way.
How much of a legend is Felger for his overreaction after the Bruins won of when he was literally in a studio behind much glass?
He and Amante struggled that night.
No,
That's
Amante
true.
was fine. Amante struggled just because he had to be somewhere by his looks. But Felger is like crapping his pants, and all that's happening is people are banging on the window. It's like, what do you think they're going to do to you? Do you guys have still great sport at him for his total lack of manhood during that time?
Now I kind of forgotten about that. So when we used to have that studio, and I would go over there occasionally for Celtics post game, and yeah, it's definitely loud and like distracting because people are just absolutely wailing away on the window. But like, geez, I got nothing behind me. I got like Aztec Gino with his shield in my head, and people with brooms knocking me. So yeah, maybe that's something I need to go with Felger about.
Yeah, because when we're talking about where Forsberg might literally be unprotected, like standing out there. And Felger was in a studio.
I have to give a shout out. I have a cameraman, my cameraman Big Al. He is like my security detail. There's also some real security that also helps around us, but. Big Al is the first guy who will tackle someone if things get rowdy, and I think he's a former offensive lineman, so I feel well protected out there.
Can't really hear anything right now, so it's going a little loud back there.
Felger, I'm going to toss it to you.
We've got a major situation.
I'm going to break the window. Yep, no window for them to break around you, Forsberg. You're fine.
Nope.
That's great.
Nope,
Can you
I'm
imagine being scared being in that studio? What the hell are you afraid? So they break the window. They break the window. What are they going to do?
It's not a monster movie with zombies outside crawling through to get at you, is it?
It's not Cincinnati at a Who concert, and I'm not making a joke. It's not like you're getting trampled up against a gate. Like what's going to happen? It's not 20,000 people running at you. That would not scare me. I would actually think that was funny. I think I've been in chaos like that. I don't think that would scare me. Being in the studio, now Forsberg, if I was Forsberg and people were hitting into me, it would annoy me. But almost then, Because you really are on basic cable, so you can swear and can't get in trouble for that.
True.
So that's true. There's no government guidelines of where he is. So like, if they hit me, I might swear or like push someone. But
I don't know, Fred. Awfully cavalier from a guy who demanded round-the-clock security here just 2 weeks ago.
Touche, I did. I had my agent called management and said, I'm very afraid of these hippies. Please get around the clock security. If you don't know, Chris, there was a off-duty police officer here a couple weeks ago during the day because the death threats put upon me and the rest of the show because of my comments on some things. But I did not call them. It was to the station, which I'm appreciative. Thank you to the station
Very
for
nice of them
protecting
to
me.
do that,
And
yes.
again, it's awful announcing's fault if I get shot. The guy who wrote that article, the blood's on his hands, my children will blame you. All right, and no matter how you justify it, it's the truth. All right, Chris Forsberg.
Game 5, come on, let's break it down, X's and O's, Fred.
Let's talk about this. Is there a part of you that is, from a professional standpoint, kind of excited that this is going to a Game 5?
I think it's the thing I've been wrestling with is, like, I grew up here. As a journalist, you always try to, like, divorce yourself from being partial, and I get a little bit more leeway with where I am now. And so, like, part of me is, like, just excited for the people in the organization and the opportunity for the fans. I'm all these people that are paying big money to be there tonight. Like, I do think it's super cool that we get a Game 5 on the home court with a chance to sort of punctuate this amazing stretch of, like, being so tantalizingly close. And I think a lot of the narratives around this team changed tonight. And I'll be really happy for a lot of the people in the organization. People keep asking me, they're like, "Oh, the Celtics just downshifted the other night, right? Because they wanted to do it at home." And I'm like, no, they just got their doors blown off, and they got to be better tonight. So I do hope they can sort of refocus and bring a better intensity, because I feel awful for the on the flip side, I feel awful for all the people. A lot of people traveled down to Dallas to hoping to see a celebration and get a hefty bill to pay for it. But I just want to see if they come out. They've been very good about sort of dusting themselves off after these missteps. Can they do it on the biggest stage and make sure that this thing doesn't get any more interesting than it needs to be?
Okay, Wallach is absolutely champing at the bit. He has something, but just very quickly. This is all assuming they end up winning the thing either tonight or tomorrow night, whatever. As we talk about this series in general, is it better to have Dallas shown up and, like, really, put out an effort like they did in Game 4 to show that they were a worthy finals opponent? I'm talking about the narrative post-series after the Celtics have won. Or would it have been better for the narrative for the Celtics to go in there, steamroll, and say, wow, they truly were the best team, and this is why they are on top, is because they completed the sweep? I just very quickly, Chris, I would just say it seems like I would have been okay for the Celtics to do this without being embarrassed in that one game, without showing any fault.
For sure. And you would have been the first team in NBA history to ever sweep both the conference finals and the finals. And that stuff, while we don't tend to remember the exactly the path, we do. Like, I can tell you the 2008 team obviously struggled through the first couple of rounds, really had to grind. And I don't think it'll either way would not have deterred how we kind of look back at this historically, maybe in the moment, because we all obsess about the minutia now. But I do think in, like, the grander scheme, I do think eventually, and I don't know how long it will take, maybe it'll happen right after the season. I think there will eventually turn where the people are like, wait, this team was really just that good. It wasn't that they played a bunch of tomato cans. It certainly was an advantageous path, but they made it an advantageous path, both with the way they played in the regular season and with their dominance in the postseason. So, and then some of that will snowball too. Like, if they come out next year and they just continue to roll and they're back on this stage, like, the whole way we view what they did this year will eventually shift. But you just need the benefit of time there. But like you said, I don't know if it matters. I just think the ultimate thing is you got to the finish line, and that's all they should care about at this point.
Chris, did Kyrie Irving help himself or hurt himself with his comments yesterday?
It's so funny because I caught the tail end of it at the Garden, and, like, when you use the word cult, it I don't know, it just seems to have a negative connotation. It's always been so hard to parse Kyrie's words, right? Like, he said something and you're like, was he trying to be negative? Was he trying to take some blame for why things went bad? I don't know. Sometimes it's just it's hard to to get exactly what his message was. I guess when I went back and read the transcript, it came off a little harsher than it felt when he was talking. And I don't know. I guess the thing I go back to with this too is just like there's great symmetry between the whole notion of the young guys and when Kyrie was here and putting a lot of blame on them. And tonight they have a chance to sort of have him on the other side of finishing this off. And it really might be the point where the whole Kyrie conversation just goes away. It felt like it was going away for much of this season. Obviously the finals puts it on steroids and brings it back into the limelight. But I just think for everybody involved, this will be the point where everybody moves on. If you are, again, lucky enough to get to the finish line here. And I don't know, maybe at that point, people would just forget about Kyrie and stop obsessing about it. And it won't be as much of a thing anymore.
Okay. I don't know how much you talk to people in Dallas, but what are people in Dallas, if you've heard anything saying about Kyrie Irving, everyone here has a negative slant and maybe for whatever reason don't trust that he has changed. What's the vibe coming out of Dallas, if you know?
They're super pumped for Cowboys OTAs. It really was. It was jarring. Like I kept telling people, like everyone said, like, "Oh, what's it like in Dallas?" And I'm sure. Look, I'm sure there were pockets of places where like finals were a big deal, and they definitely have their fans, and they except for Game 4, they really filled that place up. But it didn't necessarily feel like a finals, and part of that is just everything's so spread out in Texas. Like you go somewhere, it's like you're going to Frisco or Fort Worth, and so I don't know. Maybe it's just the layout of the city made it complicated. But unless you were really on the plaza, it didn't feel like you were at a finals. As for Kyrie, I'll say like the number one question I got from a lot of the TV people down there was like, why does everyone in Boston dislike Kyrie? And I'm like, well, it's kind of complicated, right? Like he never fully embraced the city. He said he wanted to be here and then spent the whole year sulking and made things miserable on a team that had championship aspirations. And so it just left a bitter taste. And you know, like, I think they appreciate because he's been such a good leader down there and they don't understand like why it went so bad up here. And I don't think I understand completely like why it's gone so good and whether it's just growth down there or it's just the team success. And like, look, there's always a honeymoon period with these things. And we saw that in Boston. So I do hope that it's turned the corner with Kyrie, that he does find the happiness down there, that this is a spot he can be in long term. But yeah, it is interesting to see how much he's revered down there.
Okay,
even
that's
though
my question.
I
Like I don't there. Okay,
I don't see the sort of you know, they don't see they haven't gone through the stripe, I guess is what I would say. So they don't understand like the negative reaction that we have up here.
Yeah, and you are right. I would imagine 99% of sports talk is the Dak Prescott, CD Lamb.
It's unbelievable. Even my Uber driver was like, he wanted to talk Patriots football, and I was like, I guess you just don't want to talk about the finals, and he's like, yeah, you guys are going to win in Game 5 anyway.
Nah, well, listen, fancy guy taking Uber. What about hack licenses? They just mean nothing to you. The working man driving a cab.
They're working hard. What's the problem?
Come on, Chris. All right, you think the Celtics get it back together tonight? You like them tonight?
Yeah, I do. I just think there'll be an energy in that building. I think they don't want to have to navigate Game 6. I do think there's something to the idea of it would really be fun to celebrate on your home court. And I don't think that's like the number one motivation for them and why we're at a Game 5. But like, look, it's the situation in front of you. And they understand that they did not bring the appropriate effort. And it started from the start of that game. Then you could just tell they mentally checked out. I think there'll be better energy tonight. And I haven't slept a lot. I'm excited to see like what this building is like tonight. And if anyone is lucky enough to be in there, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and congratulations to the dude I know that sold his Game 5 tickets and got
how much? How much?
What was it, John? 20 grand or 20 grand a piece, 10 grand a piece?
Yeah, those are floor seats. Those are like seats next to Missoula.
Yeah, I think they were 20 grand a piece. He sold them for.
And can I say what I'm most excited about too? Like I hadn't even thought about this as you're digesting the Game 4 loss, but like Gorman gets to be in the building for this moment. Mm-hmm. So like if you need any more motivation to sort of, we all said it would be amazing if the team could cap it with a championship after his last season. And I'm just so thrilled that if you're trying to find silver linings, if you're trying to go spin control the whole 617 day, I really hope Mike gets to see them do it in person.
Yeah, and I know that and from the beginning of the season, he said that's what he wanted. So he legitimately wants that. So that's awesome. All right, Chris Forsberg, have a great time tonight. We'll all be watching you as you're the best in the business, NBC Sports Boston. Pre and post, definitely post. That's always fun. We'll definitely play audio from it tomorrow, especially if they have you in the weeds. Chris, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it.
Can't really hear anything.
Pray for me.
See you later, Chris.
We will pray for you. Thank you, Chris.
Can't really hear anything right now. So it's going a little loud back there. Felger, I'm going to toss it to you.
We've got a major situation.
I'm going to break the window.
All right, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. There you go. Chris Forsberg and Felger. I can honestly tell you I would not have been nervous in that situation. I can honestly tell you that would not have
Man's man all of a sudden.
Oh, no. I told you many times. I've even had women tell me that they found me less attractive because of how not a man's man I was. All right, but that would not have scared me. Things do. I got to take Xanax before I fly. But that would not have scared me. All right, we'll be back. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
go 3. He doesn't mind, but what he said was, I am the one. Celtics will dance on the floor in the finals. Scal said he is the one. Celtics will dance on the floor in the finals.
Tyler Milliken's cousin, who is related to Tyler Milliken's cousin's cousin,
His name was JT.
who
Hit that back 3. Then every
showing
head
his
turned
nipples
with eyes
online.
of being the one.
Young Nicholas was out at the big viewing party on. They shut the street down and everything else. He was at the big viewing party at the Garden. He'll be at the Garden again tonight. Maybe road steamer. We get out there again just to. It might be too hard. It might not be worth it. All right. Anyway, so here is.
There's gonna be a lot going on tonight.
Yeah, that might be. It might not even be worth it. All right. Here is young Nikolai, young, sweet young Nicholas, who's making these wonderful videos. Here he is out in front of the Garden on Friday night.
Can we use this for the radio?
Yes.
All right. Talk to me about tonight's game, man.
Tonight's game sucked. We watched there, and it was great for about a minute and a half. And then about in the second quarter, all I could think about is listening to Hardy on Sunday for his golf so I could take my mind off of something and do what I wanted to do.
Good for you. You're reaching people, Hardy.
Can you?
They're out there.
How about that? Well.
For his golf so I could take my mind off of something and do what I wanted to do.
I'm here for you, sir.
How many recaps did he have to go through to find that one
And then
guy?
about in the second quarter, all I could think about is listening to Hardy on Sunday for his golf so I could take my mind off of something and do what I wanted to do.
Well, I'm humbled and I'm honored and I'm so happy that we got a mention in here for the Sports Hub Golf Club Sunday morning, 7 a.m. So I'm sure he has something else to say about the game, but it was nice to get that mention.
Did he appreciate that you were doing it? Now there was some pressure because you were doing it from East Lansing Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it had its normal pace and energy, or?
It was different. I'm glad you asked. You know, it was a different setting, and I was a little out of my element. But that's when you let your love of the game take over, and that's what drives the show.
Who did he hear interviewed, if I may ask?
What?
Did you have an interview, or did you just go all U.S. Open?
One U.S. Open in the first and fourth segments. There were a couple of replays there in the middle. Well, no, they're quality replays.
You know, this show doesn't replay things anymore.
Not a lot, no.
No, only once in the 6 months we've been on the air.
But the
golf show though. Poof.
No, I also understand that there are. Oh,
yeah, that's right, Dan the Wagon Man. All right, here we go.
You're lying.
It's the truth. All
right, I'm going to test you right now. What did Hardy talk about last Sunday?
Last Sunday, he was talking about he was golf. Every time he's talking about my GIN score, so every time I have to do it, I got to put my GIN in. So I think he was talking about a club. I forget who he was talking to. I listen to. I don't know the names. I just know that he goes to courses that I can never afford. So he's always like a rich kid, anyways.
Okay.
No, he's certainly not a rich kid. The reason he does the golf show is because he can play these courses.
Yeah, I know. Get
for
some
free.
for free on those courses.
And I believe he's mentioning our trip to Marshfield for the Green Harbor Golf Club, where I got on the course with Director of Golf Ed Davis. We played the signature hole, the 9th hole there at Green Harbor. We had a wonderful time. We really did. And, just you chat about the hole, you chat about the course. It was just a nice.
How many foursomes did you hold up while you were recording all of this?
2.
Okay, good. They were standing at the tee waiting for you?
We let one play through, and then we held up one, and then there was another one on the tee box waiting. No, we kept things moving, Waller. We kept it moving.
He respects the game.
I do.
Sure.
I do.
All right. How long have you been listening?
Since he put it on, because I thought it was the coolest thing that ever existed. When I get up on Sunday mornings to go get my coffee, the one thing I put on when it gets to that 0 o'clock hour on Sundays is Hardy.
You're like probably his only listener. That's really great.
Whoa.
Nick left the room because he knew you were going to get upset. He's walking 3 doors down and he'll get here in an hour and a half.
No. I'm not his only listener. I listen to him because I'm one of these guys that's just a person that can't hit a golf ball straight, but I like listening to like where the cool golf clubs are, and I like to listen to him.
So it's like your show is his fantasy.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I would, what was the guy's name? Dennis? Dennis, you and I think we should go out and play and just talk about stuff, talk about golf, because as the great Harvey Penick once said, Fred, if you play golf, you're my friend.
Where if he emails you, Hardy at 985thesportshub.com, and gives you his information, you can guarantee him that you'll be playing golf with him this season?
Well, I mean, as long as he doesn't live in Nova Scotia.
No, but what if he came down from so he went just to go, he flew down to Boston?
I've done it several times. I've gone and played with people who just said, we should play sometime. I said, okay, let's go.
Strangers?
Yes.
Any of them end up being weirdos?
That made some good friends that way. Hey, we're all weirdos on the golf course. It's a weird game. You know?
You were such a...
Okay. If you could say, if Hardy was standing here right now.
Have you heard this? You have heard this, haven't you?
Okay. Yeah.
Because it would be funny if you hadn't. And you were just shocked by this. Hardy, by the way, edited this.
I did not. Lockhart, did I edit this?
Did he tell you?
You did.
Did he tell you to?
I may have given some
That's why
direction.
I asked, how many
Lockhart's
recaps?
really busy back there. I said, hey, a little shortcut here. Just take that stuff out in the middle where they talk about the Celtics.
Fred, how many recaps did he weed through before he got to this one?
There were 3 from Friday night,
Yeah,
and
Nick
even Nick
does.
said that definitely played this one and the.
That's what
and
Nick
the third
said.
one.
Definitely played this one.
Hey, by the way, I am being told that Hardy's not lying. He did say take out the Celtics stuff.
Well, we've been talking about the Celtics for like 3 hours. What are you going to do?
If you could say, if Hardy was standing here right now, what would you say to him?
Hardy, get me on a course so I can play with you. Get me down to Connecticut or one of your high-end courses so we can go to a TPC and I can just learn how to putt and chip with you.
By the way, I think he might be from Nova Scotia. I don't think he's from the Massachusetts area based on his accent.
The accent is throwing me off.
All right, so that's an open invitation to this
Oh,
gentleman?
good. Hardy will be in contact.
I met a couple of guys over at Franklin Park once. We played over there after the show one day after the midday show.
Oh, I met some people in the vicinity of Franklin Park every morning. They would slap the hood of my car and throw themselves over it, looking for money for crack.
Hardy.
Hattie. I wonder if he's from Nova Scotia. Hattie, I want to go to these gas clubs. All right, so we'll be
In the
back.
second quarter, all I could think about is listening to Hardy on Sunday for his golf.
All right, very good. We'll be back. Nick's got one more for us as we head into tonight's chance for the Celtics to win their 18th championship.
You're listening to
Nicholas is, but I do want to take this. It's someone all the way from San Diego, California.
Up early.
Robert, hello,
Hey.
sir.
Thank you for having me on your show. I know I always call, and I always can't stay on the phone too long. But all I'm going to say is I hope they use Prozinas tonight. They're stupid if they don't. They could jack him up with Novocaine, get him in his ankles, even get some points on the board. But we got to come out scoring. And Jason Tatum is going to have to get everybody involved. That's why we lost that game. My personal opinion, him and Brown just decided, I'm going to take it on my own, and they didn't get nobody involved, and we got skunked. But I think we'll take it tonight, and I predict we'll beat them by 15.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, they will not shoot him up with Novocaine. That would be very bad for his performance. What they would do is they would shoot him full of propofol. And then sometimes if it's bad enough, I think they will give you like a straight up opiate. And then I would have to imagine they would match that with speed. One day I want to talk to, it wouldn't even be on the air. I want to talk to like someone who worked for the Raiders in the 70s and like find out what they gave those dudes. Who's the white receiver in the 70s for the Raiders? He's a Biletnikoff. Like Biletnikoff didn't even wear pads.
Yeah.
Like I just want to see what they gave that guy.
Not fast. Run over the middle. He's like 6 feet tall, 165 pounds.
There were no rules.
There were no rules.
Like they just took his head off. Like I want to know because if you give guys because they give him propofol now, and if you had propofol, it can actually speed you up a little bit, but it's not. I'm not positive if it's narcotic or not. I'm not positive, but it's certainly not something you hear people are addicted to propofol. What? Not propofol. Jesus, propofol. Yeah, you are addicted to it. What am I? Teradol. My bad. Toradol. Toradol is what I'm saying. Not propofol. My bad. Toradol. But if they give you like opiates to like really block the pain, I'd imagine they have to counter that with some sort of speed, or else you'd be lethargic on the field. I want to know what they did back in the day where they were just throwing pills at guys, because I'm sure they still are. And we've heard stories from ex-players saying that there would be like bowls of pills. And that might be an exaggeration, but I have been told that by ex-players that they're in the locker room, they had bowls of pills. I'm guessing that's an exaggeration, but they certainly did not shy away from giving it to him. And that would be interesting. Do you think they ever just shot speed into him before games? Like legit just shot speed into him? Oh.
Sure.
North Dallas 40, they're really like drugging him off.
That's the movie I'm thinking of.
In North Dallas 40, the book is about the Cowboys, right? Like it's legit about the Cowboys, correct?
I believe that's the case. Yeah.
I mean, it's not that much of a departure if there were like bowls of pills in clubhouses and locker rooms. Then what's the next logical step? Well, this won't take 45 minutes. This will take about 45 seconds. Here you go. Boom.
Yeah.
Take the needle.
I wonder if the North Dallas 40 is about really what happened, or if that's because the movie's fictional, obviously.
Yeah.
No. North Dallas 40 is a real story. Yeah. Okay. I'm doing a little bit of. Excuse me while I do a little bit of Mad Dog. I got to look something up here. I want to see if it's a real book. Let me. Exposed to the dark side of the NFL, from the corruption to abusive coaches, drug addiction, violence, and locker room sex. Follows 8 of the chaotic life professional football player Phil. Okay, so it's based on the true story, but it's fiction. Okay. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. All right, so here is young Nicholas. Nicholas, who's been working very, very hard during these finals. He was out on Friday night using his own time. He took the day off that day, too, and he still went out and got audio. We kind of learned a little bit about the intellect of the people that were at the watch party with their very high intellect, because they were listening to the golf show every Sunday, 7 a.m.
In the second quarter, all I could think about is listening to Hardy on Sunday for his golf.
You should just play that as a promo for your show. You know what would be a good idea? Playing that in prime time.
Sunday mornings at 7. It's
Hardy.
Thank you.
We need to be promoting these Sunday morning shows more.
Why is that, boss?
I don't know. There's all this time that we're just promoting games and shows. I don't know why. I don't hear nothing about things that are on Sunday morning.
Shouldn't you focus the advertising budget Monday through Friday, though?
What's that? What's the budget?
Okay.
All I know is articles, and articles.
Here we go.
It's not his fault.
I know that, but
it's not his fault.
I know that.
Just wait until the ratings tank, and then they won't be so concerned about the articles anymore. All right, here we go.
All right, man. What's your name? I'm Connor. Connor. Can we use this for the radio?
Of course. I love it.
All right,
no
man.
Cutoffs. Well, ask me about it. No cutoffs. Ask me about the game.
No cutoffs, no thanks. Jeez, Louise. We can't wear... Sorry, I thought I did that. If we can't wear cutoffs, then why are we even here? Jeez. No cutoffs.
Gotta have your...
It's Bear Week, honey. If I ain't wearing leather, I'm wearing cutoffs. By the way, he keeps trying to call our show, apparently. The bear guy.
Tom Goss?
Yeah. But he can't figure it out.
Dirty bear. Behind the glasses, you a dirty bear.
Well, ask me about it. No cutoffs. Ask me about the game. What did I think?
You're cutting me off.
All right.
All right.
Take off.
Well, Game 4 didn't really work out for anyone, for the Celtics. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Missoula should have played Porzingis more. That definitely was a big change. And the Mavs, they're fighting for their lives here. All right? So that's why, like, they're screaming, they're calling. There was no chance.
They love the wrath of Khan? Whoa.
And they're calling.
Yeah, they're like, hey, the guy who owns the Jaguars is all right, huh?
Connor's really struggling.
Who is Khan in the movie? Who played Khan in the movie? Some famous actor.
Oh, no, the guy from...
Fantasy Island.
Oh,
Fantasy
Ricardo
Island.
Montalban.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Tattoo. If you want to read about a good life, Tattoo.
Oh, really?
Oh, in real life, yeah.
I saw a reel the other day where they gave him a mini, like, island wagon. You know, they had, like, the glorified golf cart to shuttle the guests. And there was an episode where they gave Tattoo his own miniaturized one.
Yeah. I wonder if that had anything to do with the way he decided to end his life.
Fred.
Hustler had a cartoon in one of the Hustlers I had when I was a kid that was not nice about. It was supposed to be humorous, but it was more mean.
About
the
Tattoo?
suicides of Tattoo. He had something that was like the plane that he said after the suicide.
I'm going to cut you off right now.
Well, ask me about it. No cutoffs. Ask me about the game.
No cutoffs. No. Good luck getting in a crowd.
There was no chance. I didn't expect to win here tonight, honestly. Finally, it's going to be a game where it's like, oh, they're going to put up a fight.
Then why'd you go? I mean, why'd you go watch it on TV in front of a bunch of people if you thought they were going to lose?
Finally.
Yeah.
I listen to 98.5 every day from 2 to 4, you know, with Felger and Maz.
You don't miss anything from 4 to 6 because it's the same exact show.
No, they were...
Oh! Whoa! Nicolay.
Goodness.
Giving trade secrets.
I listen to 98.5 every day from 2 to 4, you know, with Felger and Maz.
This sounds like everyone who's introduced to me. Yeah, I sometimes listen to it in the afternoon. I'm in the car in the morning. Thanks. Great.
Yeah.
Like, it needed to know.
Thanks for sharing that.
That's fantastic.
You don't miss anything from 4 to 6 because it's the same exact show.
No, they repeat the same thing, but Maz rides on Felger's coattails. Everything he says, he always agrees. No matter if it's a terrible take, if it's a good take, no matter what. Maz, you ride Felger's coattails, and Felger, you shouldn't have a job in Boston.
Well, why do you listen every day from 2 to 4?
I honestly, that is like such a lazy assessment, too, of that show. The people say, you're right, Mike. You're right, Mike. Like, listen to Felger and Maz for just give it one day. You think Maz agrees with everything Felger says?
And a lot of times, Felger's running point. You can tell Felger was influenced by what I understand to be the Big O show, because there are times that he's bopping around, and when he does it, he goes like, "What do you think, Jim? Like, what do you think, Tony? What do you think, Bedard?" Like, it's not all Felger. I mean, he's running points sometimes.
Yeah, that's what he
around.
says. He wants to be a facilitator more than an actual take-haver.
That's why he loves Rondo. That and his love of Connect 4.
Right.
The Celtics hurt us tonight. None of them.
I know Felger's going to get all the fans.
Oh, my God, dude. Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
I know Felger's going to get all the fans riled up and say, oh, the Mavericks might take this series after that blowout win. They could win game 5.
But you sound like you listen every day.
Yeah, I like their takes. It's funny. It's entertaining.
Yeah, all right. So what do you want him to do? Not do it? You like it?
But they pissed me off.
What do you think of like Zolak Bertrand or Dutcher and Nard?
I don't really listen to those guys, Bertrand and Zola, whatever the name is.
Early morning.
Oh, get out of here. You don't know Zolak's name. You listen to the station every day from 2 to 4, but you've never heard Zolak's name. Please. I don't believe that. That is what Hardy accuses me of. Not pronouncing names right because he thinks I'm trying to be cool. Which he gives me too much credit that I'm that quick. But this guy knows who Zolak is.
Zoloft? Is that what he called it?
I mean, Zolak's been on the air here since 2009. I mean, and he calls the football games. Get out of here. You've never, ever heard a Patriots game on the radio? Stop it.
Those guys, Bertrand and Zola, whatever the name is.
Early morning, of course.
Jimmy Stewart, you're also a bandwagon.
Hey! Did you get his number and address? Did he have pets? Does he love them? Because that makes it sweeter.
That's all you do is just hop on anything Felger says to. You're scared of him.
Coattails, are we going?
Yeah, I'm scared of him. I'm scared his family will tell.
Coattails, are we going coattails?
Hanging on the coattails. All I see is a lot of sad Celtics fans.
All right, one guy wanted to talk about the Celtics. The other guy complained about something he was listening to. That didn't know.
Finally.
Maybe the Celtics will wrap this series up tonight.
Finally.
Wow.
Doesn't know Zolak's name. He's a sports fan in Boston that listens to the station. He doesn't know Scott Zolak's name. Get out of here.
Well, ask me about it. No cutoffs.
And you can't pronounce Zolak?
What do I think?
Like Zolak. It's 2 syllables. That you can't pronounce? What other way would you pronounce Zolak? But Zolak?
Hardy. That's easy enough.
There's a guy out there that listens to the golf show every morning, but there's a guy who doesn't know Zolak's name.
In the second quarter, all I could think about is listening to Hardy on Sunday for his golf.
John, I don't think these are the last time we're going to hear those clips.
No.
I have a feeling those are going to go in very accessible buttons for our good friend Hardy over here.
Well, we're glad you sat down for another round of contract negotiations, but is anyone actually listening to the show? I'm glad you asked.
In the second quarter, all I could think about is listening to Hardy on Sunday for his golf.
There you go. Sunday morning, Sports Hub Golf Club.
I will tell you this. I would imagine that was a big part of your negotiation for this show. All right, where do we stand? I understand everything else. Where are we at with the golf show?
I got to keep working Sunday mornings, regardless of how early I wake up during the week.
I think
no respect for that show whatsoever. I believe it's even written in my contract, if you want to.
No, I was under the impression they were like, I understand, like, do you want to do this morning thing, but we will not give it to you at the expense of your Sunday morning activities, sir. Please. All right, very good. We will be back. We will have all your wonderful emails and everything else that we do that's so fun this time of morning as we await the Celtics perhaps winning the championship this very evening.
Finally.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the
let's do the email bit. Toucher and Harding. Fred, rejoining the show at some point here. Wallach, do you have an email to lead us off?
I do. This one from Ben, and this references back to what we were talking about earlier about weird behavior at youth sports. Ben emails us and says, I'll never forget the fight when I played for Saugus against Beverly Chippy all game long until kickoff. A Beverly kid kicked a Saugus player in the helmet while he was down. Benches cleared, 100 kids fighting at midfield, coaches and parents fighting, grabbing and literally tossing kids away from the pile. It was one of my favorite memories looking back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Real melee.
Yeah.
Real Donnybrook, as they say. John, I apologize I wasn't in here. I was being told by one of our wonderful employees how funny I was in the hall.
Oh, nice. Nice. Did you thank him? You thank him and say, boy, that's really nice of you. Thanks for saying that.
I said, it means the world to me. Thank you so much, and it was true.
Huh. Except when he said, Fred is really funny. Fred came out as
Potty.
So,
my son just asked me if I had the craps while I was trying to read these emails. I have 3 emails in a row. They're on the same subject. They're on Kyrie Irving. If you'll let me read them, John.
Sure.
Don't jump in because there is a point to this that's not what you think.
All right.
This particular one. This is from Brian. Why are people so upset with Kyrie calling Celtics fandom a cult? Mr. Mack was the leader of the center on Boy Meets World, and he seemed A-OK. Now, you don't know this, but you do know one, and I want to know, don't get on your computer. All right, so Mr. Mack was he was the guy from Teen Wolf, Styles from Teen Wolf.
Okay.
And he was the leader of a center that got Sean as part of his, into this cult. And within 22 minutes, of course, our friend got him out, his family. Eric and his family got Sean out of this cult. There was a cult on 90210 featuring a man in a wheelchair.
Professor Finley.
Who did he get into his...
Kelly Taylor.
Who got her out of the cult?
Dylan.
And they
offered a lot of money. And then there's a scene where they're all finally sitting there, and then Dylan, of course, has feelings for Kelly. But Brandon, she's like, "Can someone take me home?" And Brandon says, "Well, that's me." And he's like, "Dude, I'm sorry it had to go like this." And Dylan looks at Jason Priestley and Brandon and says, "What do you want to do? Split her in half? We can't do that." So, any other questions?
No, that was fantastic.
Okay.
That's why I said don't interrupt it because this is where I want to get to.
Sure.
All right. Meanwhile, this is from Larry. Let us remember that Tim Robinson taught us that you could be a huge piece of ass that ate sloppy steaks with slicked back hair and a white couch. What? But you can still change.
Okay.
Do you know what he's referring to?
No.
You never watched it. I think you should leave.
No.
Babies may have hated you.
Gwen said that. She said, no reason to read this on the air. Oh, Gwen, I'm going to read this on the air. Says, thank you, Fred.
No.
That wasn't a fun joke.
Oh, okay.
That was just reading it. That was just me being smug.
I see.
For supporting Kyrie's comments, you are absolutely right. Hardy/John. If I had done my homework on Boston 40-plus years ago, I never would have come. I have stories, but I stayed. Life, as they say, happens. If people call Kyrie... This is obviously a woman who is not only a woman, which can be very difficult, but a minority. Not surprising she's a fan of mine. If people call Kyrie out for his past unsportsmanlike and team-adverse behavior, even his perceived anti-Semitism, fair enough. But if you don't want to know, you don't ask. Y'all asked. He told you. One may not like what he said, but until he proves otherwise, take him on his word. And he's not shifting the blame back on Boston. That's what you want to hear. Y'all, some of, need to let go of Celtic snowflakeness. You're going to make some of us cheer for the Mavs just because. Lots more I could
see what you're doing, Wallach?
No, I'm
lots
converting
more,
all Celtics
nice
fans.
going, Wallach.
Lots more I could say about this issue, but I won't. Again, Fred, thank you for your insight and wisdom. People who go through us and come out whole or close to it, smiley face, on the other side are heroes. Go Celtics.
Kyrie's a hero? Is that what this is?
No, I think that was Fred being a hero.
All right.
Normally, we keep the email reading to 2 or 3 sentences, but since that one was praising Fred, we got the full 4
so we got
paragraphs.
Is that something we normally
2 paragraphs.
Yes.
All right, good.
Hardy got it. He thought that dumbass over here thought she was talking about Kyrie being.
Oh,
the hero.
no. Fred is the hero.
I see.
Fred is the hero.
Well, congratulations.
What did you
Fred.
get in English back in the day when you
my
had
major.
to analyze literature?
It's my major. Fred.
Oof. Where'd you go to college?
Hobart College.
We might have another Curry College situation with our own bird.
Hey, Shooter McGavin, graduate, Hobart College.
What'd you think of that Jonathan Livingston Seagull book? Was it good?
Isn't that what Mr. Brady read every night in bed?
That was even before me.
Probably. That was
My
a very
God.
70s. What, Bach? Is that Jonathan Bach who wrote that? Something Bach?
I think that might have been it might be Mrs. Brady that read. But there was a book that they read every time they were in bed together, which, by the way, was
Richard Bach.
Which was not the norm back in the 60s. They were actually kind of pushing the envelope, not joking, having the two of them in bed together, especially since their prior partners had died.
It was the first time, right?
That might be actually the first time that primetime television had people sharing a bed.
Yeah.
That's not the show you thought would have done it. Because even was Dick Van Dyke's show. Him and Mary Tyler Moore were in separate beds. Mary Tyler Moore was a delight back then, if you look back. She was an attractive lady.
Yes, she was.
And Dick Van Dyke, drunk as a skunk on set all the time.
And still alive.
You know why? Because he changed.
Hardy, listening now. Keep up the great work. Hardy. If you have a chance, mention that the golf show on the golf show on Sunday, you said Fred is not that bad at golf, and he was good off the tee. I did. I did a recap of the Who's Your Caddy, and I said that you and I had never played golf together before, but that you and I had a fine time together on the golf course, and I was impressed with many elements of your game.
Thank you. We had a good time. I like the guys we played with you. I like playing with you. We'll do it again sometime. I'm very erratic, which comes with my inability to concentrate. I'm getting more and more convinced I need Adderall.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't want to go down the road of chemical dependency, but people have I've heard good and bad. Number one, Adderall, great for golf, helps you focus, helps you concentrate. And then I talked to a friend of mine whose buddy tried one for the first time in a tournament that he actually wanted to play well in. And he said it was like speed. Like he wouldn't shut up and he couldn't do anything that he normally did. So it did not enhance his concentration. It made him a basket case.
My understanding of Adderall is that if you have the chemical situation in your brain that it's for, it does not work like speed. It is an amphetamine. But if you have actual like ADD, and there's many kinds of ADD, but if you have it, that it works well and helps you concentrate. But that is the other side, which is why I'm a little skeptical of taking it myself, because the last thing I need is to be sped up. I don't like that. I have enough neuroses as it is. Go ahead. What else? Anyone? No? Okay. I can read more. I mean, I was made fun of for the ones I read. Mm-hmm. I had sent those to myself because I thought that they were good. And thank you to all of them who sent them. We're getting a lot of fight songs from people that I'm not sure how we're supposed to play them. Let's see here. A lot of stuff about Bill Belichick dating the 24-year-old lady. Now, he took her, to my understanding, to the big Patriots Tom Brady gala. Mm-hmm. And I guess that she's... So if he's 73, what's 73 minus 24?
54, 50, no,
49.
44, 40, whatever it is.
49?
49.
Fine, 49.
John, you were not a math major,
no,
but
an
an English
not.
major.
Yes.
49 years old. So he was 49 when she was born. When he was 49, what Super Bowl was that?
24 years ago. I'll have to look that up.
And you know what? God bless both of them. That's awesome. That's great. But what I'm fascinated by the most out of this whole relationship is Bill Belichick's desire to have sex that much at 73. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I could understand, because, like, when you get older, like, young women are still attractive to you. I mean, that doesn't change. Just because you're 70, it doesn't mean you want a bunch of 70-year-olds. But that, being with a 24-year-old, you would figure that would be, you would want to have sex a lot. And at 73, I don't know if I would have the libido for that. He must take testosterone. He must have gone to northeastmenshealth.com.
He must want to leave the house, which as a 70-something-year-old, maybe it'll happen for me again. But right now, that is the craziest aspect of that relationship. The fact that where I am right now, pretty much, I don't want to go out. I don't want to go downtown to go out to eat.
And how about liking
do
her
anything.
enough to, like, take her to, like, high-profile events as your plus one?
But you have to go out. If you're dating someone in their 20s, I would imagine you have to go out all the time. You don't want to stay in. No, we're going out.
What
We're going out.
In
Let's
all
go
honesty,
out.
listen,
Ugh.
God bless them both. I could care less. That's awesome for him. Like, I'd feel weird at my age. I'm single. I mean, I technically could. I mean, but if a 24-year-old hot late girl liked me, I'd certainly explore the possibilities. I'd be a little sketched out introducing her to my kid. But so that would be like the one like hurdle would be my kids. But if you
Yes, Fred? Fred? What happened? By the way, while we wait for Fred to
hang on,
us.
I just got a text. I didn't understand what it meant. I got to ask what it meant. But what if you were the kids, Belichick's kids? Be honest, because he's not doing anything wrong. If you're Belichick's kids, how do you feel about your dad at that point? Are you like, good for you,
So
Dad?
proud of him. So happy. No, you're embarrassed by it.
Just the kids, not anyone else. 'Cause no one else's business.
Party's right.
As the kid, you are probably a combination of embarrassed and disgusted.
Yes.
But if you're the kid, she's good looking too. Wouldn't you be attracted to her yourself? And that's got to be weird.
Right up until the point where you realize she's banging your 70-something-year-old father, and you'll be like, oh, there's something inherently unattractive about that.
Well, good for him. I mean, Jesus, if more 73-year-old guys could get 24-year-old women, God bless them. My thing is that he must really like her to take her as a plus one to high-profile events. Because it's one thing to have sex with someone and be in a ring cam walking around without your shirt on. And it's another thing to take them to, like, where everyone's going to see her. And so God bless them. Live your life, Bill. I don't have a problem with it.
Hey, Hardy, you're going to let...
I'm setting the precedent.
Yeah. Hardy, you're going to let Wallach get away
Who would you rather have sex? Be honest if you're a girl. Because people make fun of me. Would you rather have sex with Bill Belichick now or me now if you were a woman? Or a gay man?
What, do you want to open up the phone lines?
5 calls says it all.
No, you two. I'm asking you two specifically. If I came in here and I said I was... I'll ask you this. This is a better question because that seemed to make you uncomfortable because you're not free with your sexuality. Would you think it was weird if I said to you, I'm dating a 24-year-old?
Yes.
Would you, John?
I would hesitate. I'd be like, yeah, it's kind of cool, Fred. Good
Okay,
for
so you would think it was cool. Now,
Yeah.
Hardy... So, okay, because I agree.
No,
I
I
would
think it's pathetic.
Pathetic?
Pathetic.
Even if I liked her, legitimately liked her.
No,
She's
granted,
24.
She was born this century.
Yeah,
and
you're
as
more-
we just detailed.
She's
my
25
divorce-
years younger than me.
You're more than twice her age. You have very little in common with her. Totally different life experiences. I'm sorry, not buying it.
What if she was like a touring musician and like had a lot of life experience? Seriously. She'd been in the business since she was 16.
So
she
you're
had more
dating
life experience
Billie
than me.
Eilish.
I date Billie Eilish. She's got Tourette's. Did you know that?
Yeah, I saw that in an interview.
Dave handled it very well.
Yeah, I thought he did too.
I was proud of him.
Um,
So, John, you would think it was cool.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I didn't think I'd feel this way, but yeah.
You know what?
I'm proud of you.
The thing is that if you turn single in your post 40, your perspective on it would change completely, and you'd just be like, "I'm rooting for you." At that point, I'd be like, "I'm just rooting for you." If one of you showed up with a 24-year-old girl, I would be like, "Good for you." I'd be like, "Good for you." I swear to God, I would be.
I think it's ridiculous to think that you could enter into some kind of long-term relationship with somebody there. Like, that person is going to change most likely like three times.
Yeah.
They're going to be
I agree with.
different people.
Now, if I was Belichick's kids and he showed up, and I might be like, okay, whatever, but like it's his life. But then if talk of getting married started happening, I'm with you, Hardy.
Two different things.
It's
Yep.
because like I'd be like, then first of all, selfishly, I'd be concerned about my money, and I would be. And every one of you would be too. You would be concerned about the amount of your inheritance. And second of all, I would be like, why would you commit long-term legally to someone when you're only going to live 10 more years? Like you're Belichick could live,
it's
be
like
lucky
a
to
Howard
live to
J.
83.
Marshall and a Nicole Smith situation. And no, I don't want my 72-year-old father dating someone whose bones just stopped lengthening. You know, that girl was growing up until about 3 years ago. She probably still counts her age in half years.
Well,
She probably still says stuff like what she wants to be when she grows up. No, it's stupid. It's gross. It's kind of offensive.
I'm 24 and a half.
Your brain is not done developing until you're 25. That is a medical fact.
She can't even rent a car. No,
Yes, she can.
it's ridiculous.
Yes, she can. She dates Bill Belichick. Well, I like it. How about that? I'm for it.
Well, you're in a different place in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you started dating again.
It's never going to happen. I mean, no 24-year-old would ever like me. She'd have to be probably pretty large and ugly. I just said that to make a particular person mad. I made that to make someone who's listening mad.
I'm going to let that just hang out there. Oh, I know what you're doing.
Yeah, you know what
That's
I'm
going to make
doing.
that person really mad, I think.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, that's going to make that person really mad.
I did it on purpose.
There you go.
Person who that was for. I did that on purpose.
All right, last U.S. Open thing of the entire morning.
All right.
Hardy, are you going to let Wallach get away with saying that Rory choked? DeChambeau played 2 incredible shots on 18 to win this thing, but it was not handed to him. I heard you say that earlier, like epic meltdown from Rory.
Yeah. He missed 2 par putts inside of 4 feet. For a pro, that's a choke.
And Bryson missed 1 inside of 4 feet in the same stretch of holes.
But he had the sand save of all sand saves on 18.
Okay, well, that's different than Rory handing it to him.
It did.
Is it
If
a
Rory
sand...
makes
so
both
which
of
is
those
it?
putts,
Which is it? Did
Rory
Bryson
makes
win it?
both of those putts.
Did Bryson win it, or did Rory lose it?
Rory
What,
lost it.
Don't have to take the Lord's
Yes.
name. Yeah, anti-God piece of crap. Bird crap. It's a good question, though. Did Rory lose it or did Bryson
Rory
win
lost it. There, definitively. Rory lost it.
I think
he choked.
I think Bryson won it with the par save on 18.
No, Rory blew 2 putts inside of 4 feet. He choked.
I'll give it to Bryson. I
You
say
do
Bryson
that.
won it.
You do that and be wrong.
You know
That's
what?
fine.
If all it would have done was force a playoff.
Which Rory would have lost because he choked away the lead.
Probably.
On the
Oh,
last
no,
3
there's
holes.
no way
Well,
Rory wins that
Not
that
a
playoff.
chance.
There's no way. He would have been too...
It's
unless he did something to him mentally where he's like, wow, I got away with one. Here we go.
Epic meltdown just this side of John Van de Velde.
Oh, no. Oh,
Well,
come
like-
on. Get out of here with that. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. That's a guy who lost
I
his
was trying
mind.
to get it out of him,
Okay.
not you.
Okay.
Jesus
Well,
Christ,
that was
man.
that was.
Well, that's twice the Lord's name in vain. My goodness. What's wrong with
Is
me?
your wife listening?
I know.
Because she's not going to like
No,
that.
she's not listening. I'm good.
Somewhere, though, Barry Siegel's rubbing his hands together saying, we got him back. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Not a lot of time left, but Hardy, what do we got?
Luka was talking about the win on Friday night and what that meant to him and why they were able to pull off that huge, nearly 40-point victory in Dallas.
The most important thing is to show that we believe. I think we showed in Game 4. If we wouldn't believe, we probably wouldn't won that game. So I think obviously the talk is easy to talk about it, but then showing it is another thing. So I think we showed it.
It's very inspiring when he talks about believing in themselves.
I think the most important thing is to show that we believe.
Yeah.
Did he bitch at the officials as much? I was barely paying attention when it got that way.
He was, I'm sure, he toned it down a lot. There wasn't any bitching.
Did you watch that whole game?
Most of it, yes.
Okay. Because I was out and about, and I kept an eye on it. I figured I had 2 days to watch it.
Yeah. No,
it wasn't like, the height of drama.
You didn't miss anything. That was one of the major stories, and Luka obviously made it a point not to bitch. He smiled a lot of the game. He made it very, very sure that everyone saw him not bitch at the
Good
officials.
for him. Good for him.
I don't know if he gives any kind of locker room speech or anything about belief.
Gonna run through a wall for that.
He
guy.
sounds like he's hitting
I think the most important thing is to show that we believe.
I believe I can fly.
I think we showed in Game 4.
I believe I can touch.
If we wouldn't believe, we wouldn't. Probably wouldn't won that game. So and then showing this is another thing. So I think we showed it.
We share very similar brains, because I was about to say before you played it, it sounds like someone hitting on your girlfriend. Yeah, I see that he's here, but, what about the guy with the cool car? Like, I don't know what he drives, but I have the Lamborghini outside. Have you ever been in one? Like the guy who's, like, completely unconcerned that you're standing right next to her?
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you? I was at I was hosting, it was a big thing, whatever. I was working a New Year's Eve party, and I was there with a girlfriend I was dating. She was good looking, actually, so this is part of the story. And a guy that was a sales guy at my station, this good looking guy, just went up to her and, like, because everyone was staying at the hotel, and was like, hey, like, later tonight, why don't you come by my room? And she's like, I'm dating Fred. And he's like, yeah, but, like, da-da-da-da. And
Come
she
to my room
tonight? Her name's Katie, and I'm still friends with her, and I'll always love her for this. And she's a great girl anyway, but she went, are you out of your effing mind? She goes, hey, Fred, come here. And I came here, and she said, Jason here just asked me to come to his room tonight. And I said, we're dating? And he said, yeah. And I went, what the hell, dude? And the dude quit. He quit the station.
Wow.
And I saw him. At that reunion that was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And he went up and apologized to me. But, like, what woman would be like, yeah, oh, you know what? Right. Yeah, like, I'm with such, like, that guy thought I would, and maybe he was right, but that guy thought the girl was way too hot for me, and he thought, like, there's no way she could resist me to be with that fool. And she was like, what are you doing? Because that's offensive to the girl, too, by the way. Like, the girl's, like, just there because she's, like, prostituting around to get into a party. Yeah. Like, that's offensive. She was offended as much for herself as she was for me.
No. It happened to me with Marcy when we were first dating. We were in Las Vegas, and we went to a bar one night, and she knew, like, the bouncer or the manager or something, but we were, like, sitting there at the bar having a drink, and he came over and started talking to her and gave her his phone number. And I thought, I was like, unbelievable. And then when they started dating, I was like, hey, wait a second.
No, you were like, now this is a woman I can marry because I'm allowed to sit in the corner.
Thank you. I just want.
Could you find a gentleman larger than me, perhaps of a different ethnicity?
Very briefly here, gentlemen, and we may explore more of this tomorrow, depending on what happens tonight with the Celtics in Game 5. But Tom Brady wasn't the only one in the booth over the weekend. Snoop Dogg was in the booth for a baseball game.
What I told you, get it in there. Are we in there? Sanchez, that's yes, I told you, baby.
I love Snoop. On trial once for murder. And no one seems to care, but other
Turned
people,
into America's grandfather.
other
Snoop
people
Dogg.
tell a dirty joke, and they are never forgiven.
Brewers Reds broadcast.
I came in where the players come in at, because I'm a player. Get up in there. Oh, he's safe. He can't throw that. He ain't got no arm like that. No, he don't.
He does, though.
No, he don't.
And by the way, he speaks of pimping all the time, which is, basically owning women and selling them out to men for their own sexual pleasure while taking their money. Isn't it funny what we is? It's almost offensive to Snoop that people are just like, oh, he's not a guy.
Right, he's a character.
Yeah, he's just something.
Who is that with that rocket?
Ellie De La Cruz.
Oh, Lord.
With a howitzer.
He got a rocket in his pocket. He made that.
De La Cruz, the most enjoyable player in baseball to watch. The most enjoyable player to watch outside of Shohei Ohtani in generation. He's like Vince Coleman. He's like a tall Vince Coleman. And you have to admit, Vince Coleman was an entertaining-ass player to watch.
He was. He can't steal first base, but once he got there, it was fun to watch.
He hit in the high 280, like 280 back in the day.
He never walked at all, ever. Struck out a ton. You know I'm right.
He didn't walk? That might be
really.
true. I was pretty little when he was playing. But I love Ellie De La Cruz. I'm taking my son to watch him play somewhere. Nowhere convenient, but somewhere. All right, guys, enjoy the game tonight. Now I'm on the team of hopefully they win. They've done their job for me. We'll be on after they win or lose. Enjoy Zolak and Bertrand. Zolak, I don't think he can get into the building because he's sitting outside putting on deodorant right now. He's outside of our locked doors putting on deodorant on the stairs.
Oh, nice.
And then he'll put a cologne on as to disguise many smells on him. All
Vince,
right.
Vince Coleman, 324 OBP.
That's not fantastic.
That's not great.
All right. But it's not as bad as